I'm good to start. That's
Okay,
Can you please read the note at the top of the agenda?
This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The link is posted on the village website. So call the meeting to order at 7:01. Any agenda additions? Somebody like to adopt the agenda as? I'll adopt the agenda as presented. All in favor? Carried. All right. I'd like to welcome Joni McNeely from the hospice board. And we'll just turn it over to you.
So, first of all, Karen's gonna take a picture of us. Let's do a picture.
Okay.
If that's okay with you guys, we put it on our Facebook. Can I have a chair?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh,
you know what?
Okay.
I'm gonna go around that way.
No, because I'm gonna leave. I'm just gonna be reading my book. So she can see.
Oh, okay, well,
She
yeah,
can sit
well,
here.
we'll give it to you.
She have to be on that side.
Well, it's more room over here, so far.
It's all good.
So I'm Joni. I can't remember some of your names.
Adam Summerfeld.
Hi, Adam. Nice to meet you.
Richard Brennan.
Hi, Richard. Yeah,
I'm Jen. I'm the admin assistant.
hi, Jen. Thank you.
Mike Worthington,
Hi, Mike.
Larry Chasey.
Larry, yes. Okay, Karen, did you get some?
Mike, look at him.
My work here is done.
Bye.
So, how long do I have and what do you want to hear?
15 minutes.
And what would you like to hear?
You just go with what you think is most important.
Okay. Have people listened in on my other presentations, whether it was to the town or to the county? Okay. So maybe what I'll do is just quickly. There are a lot of people listening into.
There's 3 people and we're one of them. There's
Okay.
2 other people.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll just quickly review, just very quickly, the Hospice Society itself, and then go on into our project, and then answer some of the questions that you have. So the goals of hospice are to relieve suffering and stress of caring for somebody with a severe illness, usually from 3 to 6 months. It's community-based rather than healthcare-based. The idea is that people live every moment rather than focusing on their illness. And as well, we provide care for the caregiver. So the most important aspect of our hospice society is that it's community-based. It's outside the healthcare system. And we're offering our outreach programs into homes, hospital, long-term care, seniors lodge, and Sagewood through bedside respite and navigation program. The idea of our hospice society came around in 2015 to prevent caregiver burnout, to prevent transfers outside of the community, prevent repeat emergency visits, when the wheels fall off the bus. And as well, we found that the current healthcare system wasn't meeting any emotional or spiritual needs. So we really have 3 pillars: people, programs, and places. People are us, the community, every different skill, every different opportunity to become a part of the hospice and caring for each other. People programs, which is, as I mentioned, our navigation, bedside respite, dying to learn lecture series, and there's a really niche one called No One Dies Alone at the hospital, where we provide death vigil in 24, 48 hours. There's no family available. And the last pillar, people, program, places, is our hospice. So back in 2020, there was some research done by Alberta Health Services that said that 6 hospice beds were needed in our area. We know because of the needs, and I'll talk about that in a second, that it's probably double or triple that by the time our hospice is built. We decided to partner with the lodge. And so our part of the lodge build, of their build, is about 60 million. Our part, 10%, is about 6 million. We're about 8,000 square feet. And right now we've got 4.1 million in the bank and some commitments from community in terms of legacy giving to get us pretty close to the 6 million. Once we do that capital build, then we go on to FFE, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And Anne McNair, who was the site manager at the Strathmore Hospital, is now on our board to deal with that, costing everything out from the pubs to the beds to the med room, conference room, spiritual room, even the kitchen table where we're all going to sit around and have coffee and muffins. So we're very happy with our fundraising to this point. In memoriam gifting, usually about 50 families a year, or 40 or 50 families a year, are asking requests to go to the Hospice Society. We have Farming for Hospice, which last year was incredibly successful, raised over $300,000. We originally had hoped to sell a quarter section of inputs, acre by acre, and we actually got 3 quarters. So next year we're going for a total section. And we've got winter rye growing now, probably. So those are so good over at Nutrien. The first Farming for Hospice was here on Christensen's land, which is very nice. And then finally, we have our another big fundraiser is Hike for Hospice, and we're expanding it this year to make it Hike for Hospice. So it's 3 components: the actual hike in Strathmore, a wine raffle, which Jerry Kroon organizes year after year. And this year is our 2nd year of having a fire truck pull. So I can't remember if Standard put in a team or not, but we're hoping they will. We understand it's a difficult time because it's seeding and most of the guys are farmers. But last year it was the Strathmore High School rugby team, which won the fastest pull. Town of Strathmore, Mike Borgeron from the Wheatland County Fire Department are really keen this year to get more teams involved, RCMP, EMS. So yeah, we launch on Friday for that, so you'll see more of it coming back. So really what we're trying to do is collaborate and innovate with all the partners, all the communities, and AHS as well. We kind of got thrown a little bit of a curveball when the idea of Shasta came into play in the fall. And our point of view is that we certainly need long-term care and supportive living beds in our area. So they're providing 94 of those beds. We don't want to chase them away. That's incredibly needed. The 6 palliative beds that they've been funded to operate is a great disappointment because in Alberta, their system of calling these types of beds hospice or palliative care has been really put to task by palliative care doctors, Canadian Hospice Palliative Care Association, and the Canadian Cancer Society, saying this is not hospice. These are beds at the end of the hallway. So our point of view of our board is Shasta can do what they want, what they have planned, and that we will continue with our vision, which is very much in parallel with the Wheatland Housing Management body, which is to provide wholesome, holistic care for the people of our community by us. And so there'll be a little bit of Shasta palliative rooms there, beds at the end of the hallway.
Which is for profit.
I'll talk about that in a second. And then there will be ours, 6 beds, and there likely will be about 3 beds at Siksika as well. And, you know, there's there's such a huge need, and I'll talk about this now and then get to your point, Martin, is that of 100 palliative patients in our community in 2022, which is the last stats we had, 51% died at home. 80% of us want to die at home if that were push came to shove. So there needs to be more support in home because obviously 30% aren't getting there. 37% died in the hospital, and this is the big problem: is 37% is too high for Alberta Health Services. They want the deaths to be out into the community. Only 8% were in hospice, and the major reason is because of the drive, an hour, back and forth every day. So we're hoping to provide more hospice beds so that 8% will get higher. We know that Alberta Health Services has definite plans to get dying out of Strathmore Hospital and either into our homes or, in their idea, into those beds at the end of the hallway. So our biggest problem is, as Martin said, is with for-profit groups. Myers Norris Penny did a study on those types of companies, and they make 25% profit margins, which if you weren't making 25%, why would you go into business, right? So, you got to be fair. But that's 25% that's being taken away from the nursing care, the accommodation, the food, the atmosphere, that sort of stuff. So by having a not-for-profit provide those services, we're hoping to be the Cadillac of hospice care in a small rural community. We're basing ourselves off of Pilgrim's Hospice in Edmonton, who totally bypassed Alberta Health Services, the funding that Mr. Murphy got, and went directly to Alberta Health 2 years ago, and they've got funding year after year for that. Not only is the advantage that they've been 100% funded, but the bigger advantage, and Keith Clayton keeps saying, Joni, you got to lead with this. This is the lead, is that we will have control over who goes into our hospice beds. So it won't be Calgary people, right? Which is a big concern with the other organization. It will be our community, which we fundraised for and we built that hospice. So what's our hospice look like? It's 8,000 square feet. There's 6 beds, sliding doors out to overlooking Kinsman Lake in amongst the trees there. We're on the north side of the whole complex. Beautiful rooms, access to all the patios throughout the lodge project. There'll be a spiritual room in that aspect, family room, and a spa room. And I was joking, I was presenting to the Gleason Lions, and somebody asked, well, can we come into the spa room? I said, no, maybe family, but so, and that's sort of the most important part of that 4,000 square feet of the clinical aspect, is that there's a nursing station there. The biggest complaint of families is that in private for-profit facilities, it's the nursing care staff that are coming over to these beds at the end of the hallway, and they're overworked and understaffed and poorly trained in palliative care. So it will be dedicated palliative nursing in our area. Half of our hospice building is not clinical, it's community-based. So that's where the volunteers and the outreach program, art programs, spiritual care, grief therapy, a day hospice for people to come in and spend some couple hours where their caregivers are having a bit of a break. It will be the non-clinical aspect where we as a community are actively invited in and maintain the community for our patients. So I think that's about it. Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Yes.
Somebody's gonna have a question.
Projected date to
Good question.
start.
Very good question.
Yeah, building. when-
Yeah, So
more.
my bottom, this is how I explain it. It's like, explain it like I was your mother. Okay. So there's a down payment. The down payment comes from the municipalities and us, the Hospice Society, 6 million. There's a grant, which is the Alberta Housing Partnership Program, AHPP, for $16 million. And then there's the mortgage from CMHC. So the down payment, the grant, and the mortgage. The big holdup now is the grant from the provincial government. Was supposed to have been available in December. Didn't happen January, February. I think they kind of ran out of money and they moved everything over into the 2024 budget. There is money available. We've been told by Derek Wise that the Lodge project is one of the biggest project. So either when that announcement comes through, they're going to go big with us, or they're going to go multiple small little things like, Homes for Unwed Mothers, and which is all very important as well. But it depends on what their strategy is. If you had to wait 3 months for $16 million, would you wait? I would.
Yeah.
I would. So that's what the holdup is. Once that happens, it's my understanding that the CMHC mortgage comes through in 6 weeks, and then boom, 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 shovels in the ground. So it just depends on when that Alberta Housing Partnership Program comes through. That is the holdup. So the big thing for us is operating. We are very successful for fundraising for our capital, for our builds, that's 6 million. But the big question is, how are we going to operate year to year to year? Rhonda Wheeler and Anne McNair have figured out anywhere from 600,000 to 100,000 per year to operate our part, the hospice. So we've been telling councils $800,000 a year. We're hoping Alberta Health will pay for 100% of that. And I should mention that we're hoping to deal with Alberta Health. We have a meeting on April 29th. I should tell you that. We have a meeting with both the Minister of Housing and the Minister of Health to pitch our case. For that, 100%. If we don't get that 100%, Plan B is whatever percent we don't get or we're in a deficit, is to requisition either through the housing management body or to have the towns individually requisition, just like Woodessa used to be. 400,000 annually would be about $15 per capita.
Any other questions?
It's a lot to take in. And there's a lot of still floating parts. I wish we could definitely say this is this, but the more I get into this, I realize it's such a huge project that we just have to be very, very patient. So, right?
Yeah.
And the team is phenomenal. We have an amazing board from this area. It's Jerry Kroon, Sherry Larson, and Randy Collins. An amazing group of people that each have different skills that they're bringing. And as well, we're really working well with the housing management body. So, do you want to say anything?
No.
You mentioned there were 6 beds, but you figure it might need to go up.
So,
Is there room for expansion?
yeah, the ratio is that from Alberta Health from 2020 is actually 7.7 beds per 100,000. So if you think of our catchment area, we actually only need 3. So we're already overbuilding at 6. So at some point, yes, we may need more. And at the far end of the hallway, the spiritual and family counseling rooms could eventually be converted into patient if that was needed. Okotoks Hospice is just doubling up. They're going from 8 to 16. Their build is currently on track right now. Yeah. So what we're hoping, really, bottom line, is that we are sort of the pilot project, the model, the avant-garde project for the province. to demonstrate that this is rural, this is responsible, this is providing a sustainable model for provincial objectives.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Perfect. Nothing else?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, fire truck, if any of you guys are in the fire department, definitely hike for hospice. Or Jerry would be very happy if he got to give you guys some of that beautiful red Customs wine so that he's bought. So,
All right.
yeah. Okay.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you, Joni.
So you guys are the last group, last council. And the reason I have been presenting to council, I forgot, is to ask for a letter of support to go to those two ministries. And I sent it to somebody somewhere, right?
Yes, it's on our agenda.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a moot point or not, because we actually now have the appointments with them, but I think it's still important that you send it.
Send this.
If you guys, if that's what you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
okay.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Guys,
See you tomorrow night.
no, that's
No?
just you guys.
You guys aren't coming?
Yeah, yeah.
You bet.
Yeah.
Was just agenda and your policies for the rest of council. Martin has a different one, so that's your agenda.
These are once we review it.
Larry.
When these get approved, you can sign those ones.
Oh.
So what?
We auctioned it off.
Right, 4.0. Public Works and Office Monthly Report.
Just give me a second, I have it here in the packet of papers that I can see it. Okay, so Public Works, basically Brian's been training the new Public Works for the last couple of weeks. Probably girl for another week. But James has been doing a really good job, so, yeah. They've been working on clearing the culverts. The culvert was repaired at First and Christian. A piece had to be cut out of it. And I'm not sure when that happened, but if it was last year during the snow removal, like last year, then,
No, it was just this year,
okay, well then that would have been this year.
just recently.
Because county hasn't been in the village this year. So that would have, it was somebody that did it or, anyway,
I wonder if a vehicle went off the
could
edge.
be,
I was just gonna say that.
yeah, because everybody kept saying it was the county and I was like, what, that was last year. Okay. And so far, most of the items that were stolen have been replaced. Were around about $8,000. Still a few little items to bring in and that's about it.
Was that covered by insurance?
Covered by insurance, yeah. We have a $1,000 deductible. So administration, for the Public Works guy, background check was done. Driver's abstract was done. All the paperwork's been signed. His overtime is in lieu of overtime, bank time in lieu of overtime, right? Yeah, been super busy. This residential land titles registration has been a nightmare. It's taken up a lot of time. Hopefully we'll get it finished by the end of the week. Hopefully, if land titles accepts it. Asset retirement obligation samples have been taken. We should have that back next week. So at the next meeting, then we'll have a report for you. Fire extinguishers are being inspected on Friday. And we've been in discussion with Keenan, the WRC operator regarding the drought considerations that we need to look into. So come up with a plan. Jen, do you have anything to add?
The land titles, what's that in, what's
Land
that
titles
pertaining
office,
to?
that's to put, register the titles at land.
Oh,
Of the lots that are selling.
Yeah,
okay.
So James is the new,
public
James
works.
Davis is the new public works.
so you said James is being, days in lieu for overtime?
Yeah, like
Is it-
any overtime that he does, he uses up in bank, he banks it and uses up.
Is it
regular time.
banked as straight time or time and a half?
Straight time.
Straight time?
That's the contract right now.
Really shouldn't be much overtime, if any.
No,
Okay,
Is that
Yeah.
a salaried position or an hourly position?
that's an hourly position,
What is that rate?
$22 an hour. And we're hoping to have just a pay scale that will follow, and then it would be part of the contract. So, but that's something we're working on for policies.
We like to move to accept the Public Works and Office monthly report. Larry, all in favor? Carried. Minutes from February 14th, regular council meeting.
Move to adopt.
All in favor? Carried. Unfinished business, fire service agreement.
Alright. I handed out to those who requested it, and then on the drive was the two top choices you seemed interested in, version 2 and version 3. And I lined them up side by side so you can see the difference between them. And we're just wanting to see which one you want to go with tonight. The biggest difference between the two, as a refresher, is version 2, which is this one on in this section. It's split on the operating. So anything that they purchase from fuel to other things we would cover 35% of that. And they do most of their shopping on their own. So they give us invoices, we receive or we pay out what's owed at 35%. And then vice versa, if we do any shopping for them, to put it plainly. Then version 3 is where there would be no split. And we would also not split the fuel. So anything that we're already paying, we would pay 100% of, and anything they shop for plus their fuel, they would pay 100% of. There's no switching of invoices, and it just grants that sort of autonomy there. The accountability is near the end. You can see H, I, and J, they have to provide. In version 3, they would give us an audited financial statement, written letter to acknowledge their contributions. That's like what we did for the infrastructure grant to the county. And this is an insurance thing. Whereas here, they still have to provide an audited financial statement. This is if we did it, keep the 35-65 split. And then here, if there's any changes that affect what operating expenditures are coming, they have to give us a heads up for it. For the large capital, it could be the same, and we're broadening in both of these. It seemed that council was in favor of broadening the definition of large capital to include buildings. So that, which is what they asked for. This one, and these are, any of these can be edited. This one, I put it a little bit more broad. So you have the vehicle, structures, tools, equipment, large apparatus, but we can change that to this one because that can also be covered by a small capital, which includes their PPE, which was something else that they asked for and was also corroborated by the county fire guy, that having enough to replace at least one PPE set every year was valuable. So that's where the small, we're calling it small capital. And then, or categorizing it that way. And then the last page here, this, because version 2 says 3565 of operating expenditures with the submission of all their invoices, etc. Version 3 then says we cover workers' comp, the insurance, the internet, the radio license, utilities, power, gas, water, sewer, which is everything that is directly billed to the village. So this is what we are already covering. And then we would not charge them 65% of it. We would just cover it 100%. So that those are the key differences. And then ultimately at the end, you can see here, if we made this 20,000, well, the comparison is actually, I meant to update this. Oh, I know, I have the new one here. Okay, so this is what it would look like on the schedules, the totals right here. I kept the large capital at 17,000, so that way it was easy to see how similar they were. And in the budget, when we itemize it, I'll pass that paper around if you want, but you can see here that with version 2, where we do the 35-65 split, ultimately, this is what comes out of our pocket. And if we don't do the 35-65, that's what comes out of our pocket. Very similar. And then here for the SRFA, this is what they're paying for each year. And see, there's our reimbursement of our 35%. And this is what it would be if we eliminated the need of the 35-65. So the difference is pretty small. And it really what it comes down to is we pay a little bit more in operating than they pay in their total small cap and expenditures and such. That's really what. So in the budget, copy of I'll pass this around, but these lines, the side-by-side lines here, this is the difference. If this is with the 35-65 planned, and then here it is actual from last year. So this was $16,027 was our expense. So we paid out to the fire and we collected, we're supposed to collect anyway, 17,000 from them. So the comparison is pretty minimal if you want to pass those two numbers around. So it's really up to you which one you want to go with. The version 3 with the greater autonomy, that's how I've called it, is greater autonomy. But that's my nickname for it in my head. Anyway, that one we did not present to them as an option. They were presented this one. They were really happy with this one. They just wanted to have large capital include building. And that's why we thought we could up it. And the budget that is in front of you ups that 17,000 to 20,000, considering an extra 3 for building. That's, that was just an idea. That's a number that can be adjusted for helping to bring down our difference. But the 17,000 is required because that's on our schedule in our agreement. Anyway, so that's the one that we're very happy with. This one would sort of be a little bit more generous, I think, and it would simplify a lot of the administration work. So the way the conversation left at the end of last meeting was it seemed that members of council were kind of humming and hawing between which one. So that's why I did this comparison.
And administration wise, number 3 is great because then at the end of the year, there's no figuring out, there's no pulling all the invoices and
So
there's less administration.
should we not be letting them look at that first?
Yes, but we
Oh,
wanted to see what
absolutely.
you guys thought first.
Yeah. My thoughts, if you want to hear them, is I would give back your feedback. What does council favor tonight? What are you looking for? And then supply both to the SRFA and see which one do they prefer, with the indication that council is good with either one or would prefer this one or whatever.
Well, I prefer number 2.
I would prefer number 2 because it keeps in the split, which is one of the foundations.
Well, it makes
And they agreed to
They're
that.
happy.
Well, they've agreed to it. They're happy with it, but it's one of the foundations that we've had going through. Even when Marty and I were on the department, it was a collaboration. It was a 35-65. It was a big thing. I wouldn't be opposed to presenting them with version 3 and saying, we've we like version 2. We're fully willing to move ahead with version 2. But here's version 3 that would take some of the
It's gonna take more time to do the.
administration you guys wanted to see with it. You just want to stick with version 2. We can look at it, coming future. I would think they'd give me the opportunity to look at it. But
So what is the main difference from version 2? Is that what's the main differences from the version the agreement I have signed from 2022? Other than the capital increases. So what I see is there's a $5,000 small capital increase and a $3,000 large capital increase. So we got $8,000 in capital increase. Is there other major differences?
Do you mind if I answer that?
No.
So those are the major differences. The previous agreement, we had a contestation or disagreement about what was an operating. And so in the discussions with SRFA, they were defining certain parts, mechanics, gear as operating because it was necessary for the operating of the fire. But it was gear that was costing over $1,000, lasting for more than a year, such which by definition is capital. And so because the previous agreement didn't address that difference, there was a conflict on how to resolve the 35-65 split. And so that's where the need to come up with a new agreement came with that clarified what it was. And then in our research, we determined, okay, well, PPE and other such things, it's really determined by the
Association.
well, yeah, by the giver of the money, the municipality, or not the municipality, but by whoever's got the money to say, okay, this is how we're going to give it to this or to that. Wheatland County's fire chief has determined that PPE is considered part of operating, but other fire departments that I looked at call it capital. So we decided, well, we will return, well, in Yvette and I, when I say we, will return to creating an agreement that includes small capital and PPE in it. And then that way it's out of the operating and we can have receipts and invoices and we understand that it's something that is long-term, whether they use it for operating or not. So it won't go into reserves like the large capital. It would be something that they're granted. Now,
They get the funds
In
and they
the-
handle it themselves. So they maybe this year they won't buy any, but next year they'll buy double up or whatever.
Is there-
Right.
So,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Is there a difference in the 35-65 split between your operating budget and the capital budget? Is it not the same funding split?
No.
Capital budget is completely different.
What's their capital budget split?
I don't know what they don't
60
split with us.
They
in
split
their
that split with the county.
Yeah, it's
And we don't fund their capital.
What we fund
Do.
is
Yeah.
the
But
capital.
not-
Yeah, the
So, yeah.
capital we fund is this vehicle replacement schedule. Because the idea is these vehicles need to be replaced in these years. Here's the estimated cost of it. And so this is our contribution to it. Well, for our yearly contribution into a reserve, we hold it into our reserve. We don't give it to them. So that way, when the vehicle needs to be replaced, the money is in reserve. And this number, the 17,000, actually, this was a little bit padded. The 17,000 was calculated because we took this number and we had to split it 3 ways between county, the fire associations, and what they can fundraise for themselves and what the village can contribute to it. And so we figured with what we already have in reserve, if we add 17,000 to it every year, we'll be able to keep ahead of our third portion according to this schedule.
What is the county,
Plus
what is their
another-
percent? You know?
I think it's a 60-40, isn't it 60-40 on large?
30,
No.
or 60-40?
I thought. On large
County
capital,
pays 60.
on large capital. And then we pay the remainder. So between the volunteers, the rural and standard, we all a third.
I do also want to plug in, I know this is my bias. I do prefer from an administrative perspective, version 3. Part of it is the ease with the invoice and the lack of administration work it takes to keep track of things. Also, part of it is that we're facing carbon tax increase and fuel increase. And version 3 does not have us paying anything for fuel. It's completely on them because but we're paying all the power, gas, water, etc. So any increase, like the fuel is a difficult one to budget for. And so we do have it in our budget as an accurate number from last year. So because they gave us our numbers like they were supposed to right on time. So we have last year's actual, and I've estimated it just a little bit higher for fuel, but it could be a lot higher. So it's a little bit of a rogue number. And I just personally like to have less rogue. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, I like the number 2.
I just think in this budget year, like where we're sitting, an additional $8,000 in capital, like we just don't have it. Like service aside, we don't have it.
Yeah, if you look at the pie chart. So the interesting thing is, and I didn't verify this number this year. Our pie chart shows that fire gets 6% of our budget. When I was comparing the county budget and their total budget and the ratio that the fire gets from county, and this would be a year ago because that's when I rewrote the first service agreement. There's about a 5 or 6% of their budget too. So it's on par with what the county gives as far as my 1-year-old information is from how I calculated it. But no, it is generous.
Well, you do have to keep into account too, if we do lose the fire department here.
Yeah.
Insurance goes up a lot.
Yeah.
Like a huge amount. So it is important to keep them here.
We gotta keep them.
I am fully for, I don't want to, we've been doing this for this agreement for what? A year?
The insurance alone is $16,431. And the fuel and goods and supplies was $16,800.
So what's
So-
the gas and power and
Power is $9,211.
now?
Well, that's the budget. Last year it was
Last year.
$8,772. So I bumped it up by 2%.
Yeah.
So so what we pay in fuel and goods and supplies is almost equal to what we pay in insurance. Which is why, again, my personal plug for version 3, because it's almost equal.
Well, you can let them look at that option too, but I don't want to continue for another year without this agreement being done, so.
And
There
to
is
the
an
point,
agreement in place.
there's an agreement. It's still in place. To the point of the 5,000 for small capital, it's 5,000, not 8.
Well, it's 3,000 additional to the 2022 agreement for large cap. So it goes from 17 to 20,000 on large
Yeah.
capital, which includes vehicle.
Oh yeah, that 3,000. Yeah, that 3,000 was there. So our thought process is, well, if we do building, we'll throw an extra 3,000. Totally can go back to 17,000. 17,000 is our commitment. So that's where the 5,000 small capital is that contested amount. Last year we were contesting $6,000 because of invoices we received that we didn't feel met the criteria of operating. So to get rid of that contestation, that's where the small cap is. So that's PPE is 1,500, and then the rest of that would be things like road signs and a ladder, things like that.
Just my suggestion on the budget ones with the large cap going to 20,000. My interpretation just with their inclusion of building was a philosophical thing to put it into the agreement, not necessarily that they're looking for funds for the building. So I would just say we've calculated the 17,000 to cover our portion of the expenses. We don't need to up it to 20,000 unless there's a need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it used to be that the village paid all the invoices. Now, a lot of the invoices go to them. We're the village used to save all the GST, now we don't
Mhm.
on those invoices, right? So so now it's administration on both sides.
It really is just administration because they do their own shopping. We pay for our stuff and then we have to switch for the 35.65.
Yeah. And how often is that done? Like once a month or?
Once a year.
Oh, once a year.
Yeah, but it takes a fair amount of time because we have to check a few things. I mean, I'm not complaining about it, right? I just feel I just like the ease of the other one. There's so many other things that I can get done in my phone.
You have to realize they are part of us though too, right?
Yeah.
So,
Part of it too, like, you know, I've been harping on lower costs, but part of it too is if the fuel goes up, like, we're kind of
Obligated.
in
we
on
don't really
that
have much choice.
too.
So
Yeah.
your budget could get really skewed with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on the capital side, where we're not funding some of their capital stuff. I mean, the real argument is like you're saying, is this PPE capital or not?
Well, it's not really an argument anymore.
Yeah.
We've figured out it is operating, not capital.
It's operating.
Yeah.
We're gonna just find it operating. So within this budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's resolved.
Well, what do we want to do?
Could we-
We'll make a motion that we go for number 2, being that they've agreed with it. They're happy. We're gonna be revisiting this stuff down the road again anyway. Right? We're not gonna have, how many year lease or how many year agreement we're gonna have.
Well, this is reviewed annually,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So-
So-
I'll make a motion that we go with number 2.
Okay, so,
We can still have discussion on it.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
at the low, at 17.
That's 17,000.
that's part of the budget, so we don't have to.
We just have to change that number if it was
Yeah.
in there.
So
Yeah, I've already-
I think what the motion needs to be, kind of read, is to present to the Standard Fire Association, option 2, and
Okay.
then it will come back next month for, if they
Okay.
approve.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's done.
fine.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Could, in open and honest transparency, could we not move ahead with option 2, which I do agree with version 2, but then present them with version 3 and say, this is a potential that we'd like to possibly look at for next year when it gets revisited, and just give it to them, let them.
We can present, if they, I think if they come back and they want to revisit the agreement, then we can present
Yeah.
option
Yeah.
3.
Okay, yeah, just as I was saying, because that way we open it honestly, say,
Well, we were fighting over everything for so long and now we're on an agreement and I just don't want to
I
start
think we should go with
opening
it.
up another
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
So we agree to the change in the large capital.
Yeah.
And.
Yeah.
And we'll present that to them.
Yeah.
And then bring it back hopefully it'll come back next meeting and get approved.
Any other, before I call the question?
Just for clarity, the PPE is small capital, not operating, and they've
Yep.
agreed to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? Carry. LED board.
So Jen was in contact with Lance and this is exactly what we had presented last time. So I think something got dropped along the way, but anyway, this is the lease that he would be happy with at $50 a month.
He was good with that?
Yeah. he
And a
was ready to
one
sign it.
time $1,200 retro payment.
Yeah, that's the only thing they would like to know. If they-
From the time of the motion.
Well, we
Um,
should have been paying that bill from the beginning.
Well-
It's our sign.
Yeah, we had agreed to
Yeah.
50, yeah.
Hmm.
Is it, should I only was going to power rather? Is it actually specified in here somewhere, Jen, that if, as long as I know it says to ensure the LED board is connected to the power, but if the LED board is gone or craps out,
What are you looking for?
does it state in here that the agreement terminates if the LED board?
Well, it says at the bottom, if this is, I don't know if that's good enough, this agreement shall limit this to mutually terminated. Because we may replace the LED board with another one, or it's a TV or something, and then we'll do a new
Okay,
agreement.
sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Unless you want a line in there.
No, that's good. It has, it allows us to terminate.
I think it's gonna be, yeah. Anyway, any discussion? Do we want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve and sign the LED sign usage agreement.
All in favor? You want me to sign this?
Yes, please.
Security camera and alarm.
Well, it was in the budget. What is council's thoughts on alarm, security
We
cameras?
gotta do something, because I've been doing a lot of thinking, and the stuff that they didn't steal, we just spent $8,000 on hand tools. We got the $10,000 Hotsy, which would have been a very
Yeah,
easy thing to drive out with.
and Hotsy is itemized on your schedule, so it's a complete replacement.
Yeah.
As like the pressure washer, it's itemized, so it's a complete replacement, but yeah, it worries me.
So is this alarm system that you're, is it silent alarm, or does it just phone, or does it have something that goes off
It
in the building?
blares. It blares. It's an upgraded system from what the fire hall has. It's a similar system, but the newer
So
line,
anybody going in there would have a
a code, yeah.
passcode to get in.
Yeah, everybody has their own code, so then you can control it. If
Who's the
somebody doesn't,
monitoring company for that?
it is actually Action Security. They're still doing it. It's just the old system had to go on a TELUS application of some sort,
Okay.
but yeah, I asked him about it. And it's $25 a month. Right?
300 a year.
300 a year.
So is, I'm trying to think of his name.
Cody.
No, the new guy,
Oh, James.
James.
Yes.
James. Is he up for getting a phone call in the middle of the night if it goes off?
Yes, and that's another point of discussion is whether or not we had told Brian at one time to leave the phone at work, but there's another option that, you know, if he is Public Works or whoever it is, has the phone with him.
Mhm.
So yes, and James is like right here.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not against being on that call out either, right?
Okay.
So-
Well, I think there would be a tier.
Yeah.
that we would go through. And yeah, once you get down to if you can't get a hold of the third person. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's just how we respond to them. If we say call the police, if the alarm goes off, then the police are notified.
Well,
right?
I think that's gotta be, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the police have to be notified pretty much
All the time.
right away, that's what.
I think the first call is if like someone goes in there and the alarm goes off, you want the first call to be to someone say, oh yeah, don't phone the police.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, no, but they have to be, I'd say number two,
Yeah,
right?
something like
Because you
that.
can always phone 911 and say, no, I'm here.
Mhm.
You can always, or you can phone the, not that there's people,
The call
phone
number.
the alarm company, right?
Mhm.
Right.
There's usually with these alarm companies, there's a phone number you can call if you've accidentally tripped the
Yeah.
alarm, and then a password or a
Yeah.
passive phrase that you say
Yeah.
to just
You
step
just-
down the alarm.
You just don't want your public works guy going down there by himself. And there is 3, 4 guys down there and try to
Yeah.
handle himself, right? So
I
you
think
want more than one person going all the
I think it
time.
would still be hooked up to the security camera, which is the lower X. So anytime anybody goes in front of it,
Mhm,
it
okay,
it sets off the alarm, which is then on his phone. So if the alarm on his phone goes off at the same time as he's getting a call, yes, somebody's in shock,
Mhm.
right?
I'm not
So-
against putting an alarm system in.
No. As you said, they took the keys of the truck, did they not?
Yep.
So yeah, so that truck is now sitting and waiting.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, why would you take the keys to a truck? But anyway, any more discussion on this? I know we talked about putting a metal box in there, but there's just too much stuff in there.
Yeah.
Cause we got 4 weed whackers, like, and they're,
Yeah.
what, 6 feet by 3
James,
feet probably?
Yeah, I've discussed with him, getting things locked up or whatever. So we're gonna look at a couple options which are gonna be very cheap to install. Um,
Is an alarm operating or capital? It'd be capital, wouldn't it? Is it an
um,
Yeah, that'd be capital. It could go under capital for sure. Because it's part of your building, right?
well, it's operating.
Wouldn't it be operating if you already had it and you had to repair it? It
Well,
doesn't
so
exist.
technically it should have a cost of a certain amount and a shelf life of a certain amount. So like the alarm system,
Yeah,
the
the
bits and
28
pieces of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
It
2840
could possibly be
would be
like
capital.
a capital, a small capital.
Mhm.
The annual maintenance is obviously gonna be
For
operating.
So I think in the budget you could find a room for 300, but 2,840, and that has to be capital.
We do have money that sits in a reserve. Okay,
Yeah.
so go back to your capital budget. There is money that sits in, it's called the office building reserve. That was, we actually were supposed to do the roof and stuff. So funds like that could come out. There's 27,000 sitting in there.
Yeah.
So things like that you're doing, like the lights that possibly, that could come out of that office building reserve.
Yeah.
And so you're not actually using any money from your
Budget.
taxing for it. You've already put the funds
Yeah.
away. We're just gonna use it from there.
Yeah.
So that's what that money was for fixing up this office,
Mhm.
which we never did use all of it. So we used some of it, but not all of it. So there's still all that money.
We have money there. We'll get this done.
27,000, that was for this, to fix up this building, right?
And we're gonna take out.
Yeah.
800.
Yeah. So like if we wanted to do the lights in here,
That should come out of that.
that
as
could
well.
come out of here. Yeah. The alarm system. We've never ever had an alarm on this office. I don't.
Is there an alarm system on this one?
No.
No. There's not much to steal in here, just computers, and they're not. worth it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of personal information in here too, right?
Oh, yeah. Is this 2,800 for one system or two systems?
That's for to do just the shop.
Just the shop.
And no cameras.
No, okay.
It's just an.
Yeah, we have one camera there now, so. And. Yeah,
Does anybody want to make a motion?
And you want the motion for,
Well, if you want this to come out of that reserve, we'll just add it into the budget. Cause it'll be in and out on each side, so,
Okay,
so,
you just need direction.
yeah, what would we say? Well, just to,
Just a motion to direct staff to get security alarms in place at the shop.
Yeah.
Being
Yes.
Just said that,
Sure.
I'll just make that motion.
very good.
All in favor?
Okay.
Carry.
'cause then once we do, once you approve the budget, then it gets all done
Yep.
in one lump sum.
Okay,
There are two budgets, though, right? An operating budget and a capital budget.
This budget you're seeing will be for,
Well, there's two here, right? This is
all the
operating. and
little
this is
stuff, yeah,
capital.
your reserves, right? So this budget comes in and out, but there's the large capital,
Yeah.
which is your infrastructure, right? So that's a completely separate, that'll be all down here once we get going. So,
Library.
Okay. so in the last meeting, we were discussing the lease and who was responsible for the maintenance. So everybody came and got their lease agreement. And the library shall maintain and keep the land, building, and facilities in good and proper state of repair. So it is in their agreement.
Well,
I did
number
talk to
two-
Lori.
Number 2 also, right? Maintenance costs, utilities.
And we really don't have to do much here. She is set on the agenda for June, I think it is, to come and discuss with council. That invoice, so.
Do they have a lease now? That's in effect?
Yeah.
Or how's it?
This is. the
I
one-
thought it had a termination date on it.
The most recent one should have been signed in December. I'm not sure exactly when the one came.
Signed 19th of December 2020. They signed it.
Yeah, that's if that has the 20
Yeah, yeah.
23 on it, okay.
That's all.
What do I have this on?
Yeah, I just have it. Oh, yeah, no, there it is.
Yeah, so they don't have them currently today, right? Because this is a 5-year lease. It ended in December 23.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
No, signed
signed.
2023.
December 19th of
And it's
2023.
good for 5 years.
Entered on.
Yeah,
Okay. Perfect.
so they do have a 5-year lease.
I'll go fully, so.
So I guess the big question then, like on this, responsible for use of land, buildings and facilities. And operational maintenance costs. So part of that repair at this point is gonna be like panel sidewalk. Right? It's a small port, but it's coming out. So we
I didn't think they dug up any sidewalk.
Yeah, there is.
They did,
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
sidewalks busted up, yeah.
So there's a piece of the library sidewalk, and then there's a piece of the village.
Well, the village sidewalk would be ours, right?
I think sidewalk is, yeah, they do
Yes.
the water break.
Yeah. The water line in their property is theirs.
And I suppose they're gonna argue, I would guess, that break to the infrastructure is not like maintenance,
But
right?
it's our, our bylaws, though. It's basically if they signed this lease agreement, that's the way I look at it, it's their responsibility, the way I read this.
How much is the bill for their
I don't know.
repair? Is the bill for the repair?
I don't have the exact number. Yvette may know that. I wanted to add that Lori has been in a few times and they're quite amicable about it. I think her visit in June is to ask for some sort of, if you
Payment
will,
plan.
village grant or a loan to help them cover it. They're not, as far as I know, they're not going to argue
No.
against paying for it.
But it's figuring out how to do it.
Right.
Well, they do have casino and golf tournament.
Schedule, like if.
Yeah, payment
Payment
schedule.
schedule. And then to see what we can legally do, because
Mhm.
And we
we
can't.
have to make sure that what we accommodate is something that we can legally actually do without.
Well, we did help the church out with Chris funding. To help with theirs. So,
Mhm.
but we can wait till June and have a discussion with Lori, and
Yeah,
the church was different because they have no casino, they have no fundraising, right?
but they are kind of parallel because it's an entity that serves this community and the greater community.
Yeah.
And
Was the
the
church
library is
legal?
also an entity
Was that
that
the church's legal?
serves the community and the greater community
Well,
as
we
well.
don't
Church
own
is
the
the
church.
water gate, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, it was
We
our,
own the
Different than the
library.
library.
We own
They
the building,
focus
yes.
What's that?
The
the
church,
church,
leak in the church was in the road. It wasn't on the property.
Was on
Yeah.
our side. Was on our side.
was on our side,
Are you talking the church
The
or the
church.
manse?
the church.
The way back when
There was the one at the Mats too, but that was on their property.
Did we help pay for that?
No,
I thought we
Well,
gave them some Chris
we
funding
gave them Chris funding.
and basically
what-
just said.
what they
you
did
use
with it-
what You
Yeah.
want with it.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not on, yeah.
We gave the library Chris funding last year.
Mhm.
Yep, along with the ag and the ring.
We
Yeah.
did give library Chris funding along with other entities.
Mhm.
So we're just gonna wait till
Okay.
June.
Yeah, she will come to a,
Okay.
Financial reports. I just gotta take a minute.
are you full already?
Yeah, I haven't eaten yet, so.
You want some coffee?
No, no chocolate.
That's not food.
That's my dinner so far.
Mhm.
Chocolate and water.
Financial statements, there we go.
Does anybody want me to scroll through these statements to find anything in
is-
particular?
I looked over them.
They were looked, I looked over them last night.
Typically, the budget never usually gets approved until after the audit.
Yeah, that, like, to be honest, we have to get it approved in December, like, that's
You
the,
can't.
that's the law.
No,
Yeah,
We can make
no,
it.
we operate on an interim budget.
Because WRC does their audits. They do theirs.
So we've done this always.
No, but then we get
Interim
our,
budget.
we get our numbers later from other,
Oh, yes,
other
yeah.
entities, so we can't do it. That's what we have
That's
to do.
right,
interim.
yeah. So no, we operate on an interim budget. And there's no way, from last year to this year, you have $10,000 more in policing, $10,000 more in school requisitions.
And we don't get those numbers till February.
no, that's okay,
Yeah.
but that's that's what a budget is, right? Like a budget, like I'm a professional engineer, I do budget every year for 20 years of my
Yeah.
life in all different commodities and prices,
Yeah.
including dollars. And budget is always done prior to the end of the year, right? Then you get your audited financials and all of that, but that has nothing to do with the budget. Then you have your mid-year budget review, and then you can revise a budget. But ultimately, a budget is to start a year, right? Because your budget is the driving factor of what your plan is, right? And so everything is based on the previous year. And you're right, like if policing goes up 10 grand and you're expecting 5 grand, now you've got a 5 grand different in your budget. That's no different than doing a road repair and you expect it to be planning for 15 grand and it's 20 grand,
Mhm.
right? It's
But-
no different.
Yeah,
The only difference though that I see is in like other budgets, we're not compensating for the law, like for the shortfalls in our budget through taxation. Because once we set that budget, those taxation numbers are set.
and we don't get assessments. I
And the
just
thing
got
is
assessments last week.
And like the only thing I can see with it, like if we do a midterm budget review, that may not affect our taxes and we're still shortfall no matter what. Like if we're short budgeted.
Sort of.
Yeah, sorry, that's,
If we approve a budget in
Mhm.
December, right? But in order to send out annual taxation, we have to do a taxation bylaw, right?
Mhm.
Right? So at that time, you can amend the budget to
Yeah.
do the taxation bylaw.
so that's similar to what we do right now, because we are running on an approved budget, which we call the interim budget, which just uses our actuals from last year and kind of projects them forward. And then we are kind of working it. So I'm in discussion here. I'm not like defending, I'm not defending one way or the other. But I'm just like, I can see your point. Like we are kind of assuming last year's numbers are going to continue to go forward. And then when new things come out, like the policing report going up and like requisition going up and other things going up, then we're adjusting. So
And so typically, like in when I'm budgeting, every year for the last 20 years, you have a trend. So you have a policing trend, right? You can go back however far you go back data. And some stuff I can go back to the beginning of the corporation.
yeah.
And then you're just trending it through time. What is the annual increases, right? So
Mhm.
and then you just trend the increase, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you can get a budget really dang close.
Yes and no, because
Policing was,
It's-
it's not trend, there's no
it's,
trend.
there's
It's,
no trend with some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can't guess.
We went, the first year was
It's-
4,000.
And then we're waiting
7,000,
for-
then it went to 10,000.
that's a trend though.
Yeah. Well, but now it's like doubled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
We started at 4, now we're 20, right?
Well, my question is, like, if we did it this way, our first budget we brought to council was in November. So is the, so is the idea to then pass that
Approve as the
budget and then make an amended motion in January for the interim and then make an amended motion
No.
after June? Is that,
You have to pass an interim budget before
Mhm.
December 31st.
Yeah, you have to have a.
So that's why we approve an interim budget of 25% of last year's budget.
There's just so many numbers we don't have.
Like hospice, we don't
We
have.
don't have hospice yet. Go ahead.
So just for clarification and running forward in the future, whatever the budget is, like so far we've been doing interim budget and up to 25%.
Mhm.
Could we set it, well, this is just discussion purposes, could we set it to say whatever budget you've kind of come up with for the year? Because it is functioning as an interim budget. that whatever budget we have, even if it's not using the past ones, but it's using things that are current to that date, we pass that as the beginning of the year budget, and then run and pass the tax budget official numbers and stuff like that at about this time this year. I mean, every year.
So we're kind of off
I'm sorry.
track
Yeah.
here, so I'm gonna
Or
pull
in
us back.
financials.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just discussing financials.
Okay,
Okay.
I missed that part.
Well, we're talking about the budget.
Maybe we'll call municipal affairs on that one.
Yeah, because I do agree, like, the closest we can get our budget to where our budget lines, we're not guessing the first few months of the year would be ideal. But I don't want it to, like, my only concern is if we approve a budget and we have that as our budget for January, and then we have to go and change things as the actual requisitions come in, that makes more work, I think, for our office staff, which could just, again, why reinvent the budget like 2 or 3 times over?
I know there's a reason why we all do it, like every municipality does the same thing.
Yeah.
And I know there's a reason, I just can't remember
The
because
our assessments don't come in till now. I just got them last week, so now they're loaded and I was able to provide that copy for you. So,
Yeah, as a question of clarification, does other municipalities of our size all run on interim budgets for the first few months of the year before they
the
pass
first quarter, yeah.
their true budget?
Yeah.
Do larger municipalities like cities and like larger municipality like Strathmore?
You know what, I'm gonna say like Calgary wouldn't, because if they wanted to know their water rate, they'd walk down the hall and ask the guy in the end office, in the water office.
They have-
So
they're a bigger
they're all
entity.
in that area, right?
Yeah,
Where we're spread out, we're waiting for the hospice, we're waiting for the lodge, we're waiting for grants from the government, we're waiting for water rates from WRC. And all of them have to have their budgets and their audits done before we can get any of that stuff in, right? Anyway, financial reports. Any other questions on it?
no, I don't have any questions.
So we want to move the budget or move the financial reports.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial reports.
All in favor?
Whoops, typo.
Carried. Wildfire is wildfire season.
yeah, it started.
There's already been 44.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them never
Nice.
dropped over the.
No, they didn't.
They
Burned
get-
underground.
Yeah, they get into the peat moss and they just smolder all winter.
No.
Budgets.
Somebody want to move to accept correspondence as information? Larry, all in favor? Carried. Missing motion to accept February 14th council reports as presented. Adam,
I will move that.
all in favor? Carried. Drought 2024.
No further information, unless you have something, Jim, just trying to come up with a.
My only note is that we do have a section 8 in the utility bylaw empowers the CAO to set the water restrictions. So if we do set water restrictions, we don't need any other kind of policy or bylaw.
That's not our job in here anyway. It's your job.
So you have the bylaw already gives you that authority.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was thinking more, that we would steer along the same lines as the province. So if they think it's severe, then we're right there with them.
We follow suit.
We'll follow suit.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
Wheatland and Mary Hospice Society letter of support.
I'll make a motion to present and sign, or draft and sign.
And we don't have to draft.
Oh, we don't have to draft it,
they've
then
already
just,
done it.
I make a motion to sign the letter of support, sorry.
All in favor? Carried. Invite from Wheatland Housing to view proposed build tomorrow night at 7 PM at their Town of Stratham.
Is it necessary for all of us to go to that? I'm just thinking of dollars. I'm trying to cut the corners here.
I would think, to be honest with you, I would think the alternate and the CAO should be probably minimum, counting me,
So that would mean three of us would go.
3 of us would go.
Why? I'm just curious.
Well, just because it's $80 the meeting for everybody to go, right, per person.
Plus mileage, yeah.
Well, if we all went together, it's one mileage, so if we want to start keeping the costs down.
Yeah.
I mean, if, I think it's important for the alternate to be there, but, and the CAO needs to be there.
Mhm.
That's my feeling.
Well, I think it might be beneficial for Mike to go to that too, to come
Well,
up to speed a bit. I don't know, that's my thought. I don't,
I'm fine with it.
whatever you wanna do, but
I won't be available, so.
No, I'm fine with Mike
Who's the
going.
alternate on that one, sorry?
I think it's Larry.
yeah,
Maureen?
I'm your alternate on that one.
Like, do you feel like you would
Wanna
like
go?
to go?
Sure, I could go tomorrow.
So our Derek Wise is gonna be there, our engineers are gonna be there, all the guys that, the companies that,
How much different?
well, it's just, there's quite a bit different over the last time we did this, but we can bring back that information too.
See, yeah, you can, like, for example, for you two to go and the CAO to go, they could update
Yeah.
the rest of council.
Yeah, M3 development, that was the word I was looking. Derek Wise is their consultant.
Mhm.
So, I'll wait till my report.
Okay.
It was just information.
So what time do we want to meet? Who's driving?
Me.
You're not driving? Okay. You want to? That's fine, whatever, that's fine.
Don't matter to
So
me.
we can meet here,
Okay, what time?
6:15,
It's 15, okay.
be over there before 7.
So Mike, Martin and Yvette, are going?
Is that okay? Do you want to go or not?
Yeah, I'll go, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And Larry,
And Larry. 4 of us will fit, no problem.
well, if not, I'll have my truck here anyway, so. I don't know if you want to drive with one arm, but collision avoidance might not be the quickest.
If somebody wants to drive my car, they can.
I'll
I
usually
just don't drive at
park
night.
is in the schools right now.
No, we're good. I can always bring the Jeep too. ATV signing authority.
Yeah, this is something we forgot to do at when we brought Mike on is, he needs to have signing authority for the bank. So the motion is going to read,
What I wrote here was move to approve, then say everyone's names. to have
Yes.
Signing authority for Village of Stanton.
So it doesn't cost anything. It just, everybody has signing authority, and then if nobody's around and there is one person around, then it just makes it
easier.
So what
easier.
is the signing authority
Just-
on the account?
One administration, one counselor.
Okay,
And Jen can only sign my checks.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
She can't sign anybody else's.
Because Yvette usually has to wait for 2 counselors to sign. It was a matter of not making her wait a month for a check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
you sign it and one counselor sign? it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One
Two
admin, one
signatures.
council.
Gives us a chance to have oversight.
So does he have to go to Gates?
Nope, nope.
It's all done?
I got everything
Okay.
there from the bank, ready to go.
Okay, all in favor?
Read the
You
motion.
gotta read the
Yes.
motion.
You gotta read the,
Oh, I just thought you did the motion. You read it?
Well, I don't have the.
No. Somebody want to make that motion?
9.5.
I will make that motion. All in favor? Carried. WRC shareholder meeting. That is April 17th. And I believe it's, did she say where? Is it at the
Yes.
office? No.
No, it's at the county ESS,
County.
ECC room.
I would like everybody there.
This is one of those meetings that pop up, but it will be scheduled, and I think we have.
We
that.
actually put it in the budget.
It is
Yes,
in the
because
budget.
we didn't realize we had to have a shareholder agreement every meeting. This just came up in our governance review, so we will be having one yearly, and I think it's fairly important that everybody's there.
What time is it?
I haven't-
6:37.
Like, I didn't really have a chance to look at the email, to be
When,
honest with
when
you.
is it? Sorry.
April
April
7th.
17th.
Item 9.6.
So again,
We'll have a
probably
meeting
need to,
before
if
that.
everybody goes, we'll need 2 vehicles or something, and then, yeah, we'll just carpool. We'll figure it all out, but we still have another meeting.
We
I
have
just want
another
everybody
meeting.
to mark it
Yeah.
on the calendars to not forget, because this, I mean, WRC is a very important, they're a very important stakeholder in this.
Hey,
So is, my note is who's attending? Is everyone attending then?
well, we can discuss that at the next meeting.
When-
Oh, that's what you
It's a
meant
little
by
bit
it.
I want
closer,
everybody to
right?
put it on the calendar now so
Okay.
that they don't,
By then, somebody else might have something else pop up
Yeah.
in once.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
apologize.
It's just a month away.
Okay, residential snow removal.
this was your item.
Yeah. Well, we talked about stopping doing grooming of residences sidewalks, because it is costing us money. But if we are gonna do that, we have to start now, so that the residents know they're responsible to shovel their own sidewalks. And then I think if we do this, then staff is gonna have to figure out, like, I mean, we do have our own sidewalks in town that need to be done.
Mhm.
And then figure out, I know, the seniors they have somebody hired to look after that place, right? I don't know who it is. But we wear out a broom, we have fuel, we have operator sitting on it. I've never seen the reason that we do it. But that's my feeling.
So you want to eliminate it?
Would council be opposed to a pro and con schedule presented at the next meeting?
Well, I know what the cons are. Nobody will do their sidewalk because we've been doing it. We are the only municipality that does it anywhere. And I just don't, it's always been a sore spot with me to spend that money. And just, anyway, I'm not against having pros and cons come to the next meeting about it.
I think for me, I look at it as this, is like, if we have something that's roads and sidewalks as far as the budget, we can, our purview of what we have power to do is we get to approve the budget. What our administration does, as long as they work within that budget, like if they can do sidewalks and roads, or what I approve as far as the road and sidewalk budget, I have no problems with it.
Well, you see, my problem is, and it happened last year when the tractor broke down.
Mhm.
Nobody would do their sidewalk because they assume that we are going to do it.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen. So anyways, you can bring
Yeah.
back the pros and cons.
So
And
again, sometimes I look at it like, I know that we're the only municipality that does it. But like for the years that I've been here, it's been awesome and I'll just put it this way. If we think, my case in point in walking through Calgary streets and during the winter time, is they have it, their responsibility of the residents. And you will walk through sections of clean sidewalk to slippery sidewalk, to clean sidewalk to slippery sidewalk. And that's been ever since I've been going to the northwest of Calgary and
Mhm.
visiting
Oh,
all
I know.
that time. And so,
but our bylaw says you have 24 hours after the snowfall to clean
Yeah.
your sidewalk.
true.
So
Same as
the way it
Calgary.
works everywhere else, when they don't do it, we go do it after they get a letter and then they get billed for it.
Mhm.
So if they want to pay for it, then don't do it. And we'll go do it and we'll charge you for it. So we recoup some of our money lost.
Yeah.
You gotta think about it. You're taking a guy away.
It also has some collateral that, like, it does have some capital on different ways too.
I totally disagree with
okay.
us doing it.
Yeah.
We hit somebody's vehicle or
Yep.
tear up somebody's lawn and trust me, it happens. We haven't hit a vehicle yet, but it's our liability. Or a fence.
Like, I know like lots of people in town, like yourself, Adam, they do like it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
Like, and it
I'm
is-
arguing the other side.
yeah, and it is a public service. I've wondered about it too. I mean, the pros and cons, I think, is good. Another thing is like we represent the people here. I mean, maybe is there like we could find out what do they want to pay for it because
Yeah.
they're paying for it anyways through this budget, right?
Yeah.
Well, yes and no.
Yeah,
Well, we're spending that money.
this is tax money. Like, for
Yeah, I
example,
know, but it is not a service. It is a,
utility.
no, it's
Oh, I think you're saying it's like
It's a benefit to her.
gratuity almost.
Yeah, it's because we want to be nice, because that's the way it started years ago, because we bought that broom.
Yeah.
But now we've got the blade, and I don't like seeing the blade on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
We bought the blade from Memory Lane. So when you go down the sidewalk with that blade, I'm just scared something's gonna happen. And I think it is a waste of our time and our money, or ratepayer money. Cause I mean, we've got to replace them brooms. Now we have Memory Lane, and brooms aren't cheap. They're what? $500-600 probably,
800.
800. And you're gonna wear off probably a year, you're probably gonna wear off 3 inches on a good year.
Yeah.
It is a waste of time. I wanted to be doing my section there because nobody's ever walking up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll wait till next meeting. Traffic MJ agreement.
Yeah, we do this I was just trying to find, how can we do this agreement? 5 years, I think it is. What they do is they'll notify us if heavy equipment is coming into the industrial park, whether they can come in or not. Yeah, it's really nothing major. That's it.
Okay. You need a motion? No, nothing?
Yeah, a motion to sign the
Okay,
memorandum of.
Larry? All in favor? Carried. So reports, Redempsa,
We met February 20th. It was our AGM before the regular meeting. We presented our audited financials. We are operating, as of 2023, we were operating within our budget. No, audited financials for 2022. There we go. We were within our operating budget. Our call volume, I'm sorry, I don't have the correct percentages, but it's lower than it was this time last year. And part of the reason is we are not doing as many calls in Calgary because of the change in the way that AHS is dispatching ambulances. We have received since November the 3 ambulances that we had on order, and they are now all in service. There was discussion at the board to start the process of beginning to order a new replacement ambulance for one of those 3 because of how long it takes for them to go. The 3 ambulances that they took out of service were well past their desired service times, to where we were replacing transmissions and other really heavy expenses on those ones. Our next meeting was postponed for March. And our next meeting is, sorry, didn't mean to hold you guys up. The 22nd of April.
Wheeland Housing would be me. Our last meeting was the 15th of February. Next meeting's tomorrow. I guess the big thing that we've got all our drawings now. We approved them at the last meeting. So Mike hasn't been around, so we are in design right now. So we just, with the government to get funding, we don't even know if we're gonna get it, but we have to spend money to get their money.
Yeah.
So right now, at our last meeting, we have moved on to the next step, which is another $1.6 million to go to the next step. And the good thing is everything that we spend now on all of this stuff, if we don't get funding and we have to wait for the next round, it just goes on the shelf. And it doesn't cost us any more we're just that much further ahead of other organizations next time around. So that's basically about the biggest news, I would think.
This is for that $60 million deal?
Yeah. Yeah, so we have Barry Architect and M3 and Derek Wise is our consultant. You'll see him tomorrow night. Supposedly, I did get an email that our stuff is on the minister's desk right now. I don't know if that's good news or bad news. So we're hoping that we get approved, but we'll see. We know, Mike probably doesn't know this unless you're at the town meeting. We know we need 400 beds by 2028, something like that. Next 10 years or something, we need 400 beds. We don't have it, so hopefully.
How many beds is this?
Be about 90. We're not even close to being. We started at 120. We started before COVID, and then when COVID hit, everything come to a halt, and then the price skyrocketed. So tomorrow night will be a lot of good information for you, for sure. So that's about it.
Last meeting was February 15th. And they had 2 trucks stolen and trashed. And the board is approved to get one new one. They don't need 2, so they're cutting corners there. And they're extending the contracts with all the different people that work with us, the hall and stuff from the transfer sites. And also the GFL. They handle the compaction and maintaining the stuff that comes in. So all those things have happened, and so far everything looks good. The next meeting is April the 18th.
Richard, WFCSS.
All right, last meeting was February 26th. Next meeting is March 27th. Right now, we're currently working on our budget. We've taken on Avail as our new auditor to try to make sure that we keep changing. We don't stay with one for too long. We're also currently looking at radio ads on 104.5. We're currently looking at the option of 1 15-second ad, 364 days a year, at multiple points throughout the day to try to increase awareness of some of our programs. And we are gearing up for our free tax clinic that will be available to Wheatland County residents.
This is community features.
WFCSS.
Oh, that's the WFCSS. I'm sorry, I just saw your thing up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's it for them.
What radio station are you doing it on?
104.5.
Strathmore. Okay.
WRC, our last meeting was the 21st. Our next meeting will be sometime in the first week in April, and then we'll have the shareholders agreement the 17th. We know that the county has tendered their services, so we're going to be losing that. Can't remember the exact amount. 16,000, I think it was, or 13,000 a year. So we're going to have to make that up somewhere. It was an interesting meeting. There was an in-camera session, and can't talk about that. It's just basically ongoing. Next meeting, I told them already. Okay,
What's the point of them pulling out like that?
there's this, other agreement out there, I can't remember the name of it, and they said, well, we have to tender it. But Leah went through it and they actually don't have to. I just can't remember the name of it. I don't know, to be honest with you. They've done this once before. They've pulled their services out and then a year later wanted us to take it back. We're not going to tender for the job because as a shareholder, we shouldn't have to tender to get shareholders of the group's work. So we're not gonna do it. And that means that any extras that we've done, like, two new guys, young guys went down and did flagging while the county was doing the sewer inflation, doing traffic. That ends here. We won't be doing anything but delivering water to the gate.
This is confirmed now, though?
Oh yeah, we've tendered it.
Tendered it, but it hasn't been awarded.
No, but they are going to
Oh,
tender.
okay, so we don't know if it's.
Well, that's why we've
Yeah.
got an interim budget.
Mhm.
So. Yeah, it's, I don't know.
Huderick Colony would be a good addition.
I'll just go in there. If we can get the Hutterite colony,
That would be a
which
huge sale.
is, how do I describe? If you go to the gravel pit, well, the tower's basically up on the hill north of here and head, north west a little bit. Well, it'd be about 4 miles, I think. They're going to be putting a new colony in down there and they want water to come there. We just have to, we have MP looking into,
How far is the pipe?
it's not that far actually. Because the water line runs right down the gravel pit road. It runs right straight north. As it goes over to Rocky Ford, it's only a couple miles.
That's close to Rockyford then, eh?
It's, yeah, what is it, 4 miles out of Rocky Ford, something like that. If we can get them, figure out a way to get them water, it's gonna really help. Be a
What-
huge
When you
water
say
user.
figure out how to get it, wouldn't the hang
Well,
up just be
they're-
the capital to build the pipe?
No, it's,
What else is going on?
it'll be their, the way we do the rural users, it's their responsibility for the pipe.
Oh,
Like Sundergaards have it, when they come off the pipe, they're responsible from there to their house.
oh, okay.
The in pipe because we can pressure and it's gonna be uphill and stuff, so if they gotta figure that out. There's a lot of engineering that's gotta be figured out, so
Do you know how big the proposed colony will be?
no.
Start with the 100.
Just as another question. Was there discussion at the meeting of, for example, different water rates for different communities for the different services that they are?
Can't do it because of our shareholder agreements written.
Hmm.
That was basically the first thing I said, the villages that are paying services should have a different water rate than
But it's not in the
means it's
agreement.
subsidized, but the way the agreement's written is that everybody gets charged the same water rates. Anyway.
Can you explain that, Adam? Like why would some people get different rates?
Well, so with, like, we pay service, so when we have a water main break, WRC comes in, does it, we pay 5% on cost, above cost to them.
Okay.
So we use that money to subsidize the water rates.
Oh, I see.
So when
So
county,
so county pulls service, then that money is not there to subsidize the water.
that's right, so we will be subsidizing county water users' water with our services. Unless we change it, so we don't subsidize it,
And then we
but
don't.
the water rate's
subsidize it
gonna
for
go
anyone.
up. So,
But as a corporation that supplies water to the people that own the shares, why, like, it's not a for-profit, is it?
that's why we charge 5%.
Oh, it is.
Well, yeah, we're a business.
Mhm.
Right, and we
Corporation,
have to
yeah.
always plan ahead because we know that with a water plant, everything times out. And everything's so expensive. So we have to be making money. Otherwise, we're. Yeah,
Unsustainable.
yeah, but
So you're just trying, so you're trying, the water, WRC is trying to build reserves, is that kind of the idea?
yeah.
Where does that
Basically,
money, reserve money go? Where's it, where do you store it? Like in a money market or?
I don't, I mean,
Huh?
a bank,
You don't leave it in a bank account, that's retirement.
that is not up to me
Where do we keep our money?
in the bank.
We have terms on that, right?
Like your 90-day demand.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
90-day demand. So
Yeah,
so
that's
it's-
where our
yeah.
reserves sit. Yeah, other than that, we have a municipal account that is our
Yeah.
operating account.
But on the long-term savings, like there's a negotiated rate.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They
Yeah.
gotta have some.
That's up to
Hmm.
them.
Not us.
That's where it sits in the 90-day demand.
All right. Community futures, Richard.
Okay, community future, meeting was on March the 6th. Our next meeting will be April the 4th. We've just had a study carried out by AFA. I'm sorry, I do not know the breakdown of that. It was founded by the Women and Gender Equality Canada through the government. What they're focusing on is trying to make some of our documentation and some of our literature and programs a little bit more inclusive to newcomers to Canada and to break down some of the terminology to make it easier for people to understand with English as a second language. To take some of the legalese out of a lot of the wording. Right now, currently, our large portion of our loans are in Strathmore at 55%, and 37% of that is now in the food and accommodation industry, which has been a slight turnover from post-COVID. During COVID, it was a lot of construction and manufacturing. Now it's gone into food and accommodation. And so far, recently, we've had 13 loans pay out at just over $350,000. So we're still doing okay. And that's it for them.
The library, Larry.
Last meeting was March 4th. They have confirmed the date for this year's golf tournament. It'll be in July. I can't remember the date right now off the top of my head, but I think it's out there, public knowledge. And they also have a casino coming up in, I believe, April. So everything's looking good. Next meeting is April 8th.
Asset management.
Oh, I had it in my head. Oh, it was something minor. Oh, I know. We got the Act Design product for our sewage lagoon and we'll start using it. I think this last week.
Good. Are you aware of that?
Enzymes?
Yeah.
Act Design.
Ponds? Yeah, okay. Strategic planning.
Sorry, there isn't anything extra right now, except that we have some feedback from the solar projects, but that's down the,
That's down here at 11. Somebody want to move to accept council reports? Adam, all in favor? Carried. Ongoing business bylaws, policies, unsightly review and changes.
Any changes?
oh, it's we're back in the package. Sorry.
None that I can see.
What's the wrong thing? There we go.
This is the final readings.
Yes.
It's final.
I see we need two motions.
There we go.
So this is unsightly and noise and litter?
No, just nuisance and unsightly.
Oh, I thought you had noise and litter.
It's in the folder there. You
Okay,
saw
oh,
it.
sorry, yeah, okay. Did anybody see any changes?
I was looking at number 2 under inspection. Where it says the chief administrative officer. Under the Municipal Governments Act. In the act, the language is a designated officer. And I was thinking that might be good because if someone gets super angry and then they're like, oh, well, who's the CAO, right? Where if it's just a designated officer, it's not naming the CAO.
Well, yeah, she could just be the designated
Yeah,
officer.
right.
Exactly.
I
Well,
think
why-
You get that
why
title
name-
automatically.
yeah,
Yeah.
Why name, why put a target on that?
Okay,
Also,
good change, yeah. Okay, so we'll change that to say the
Designated
designated
officer.
officer.
also, does that give you power as the CAO to designate someone in your staff to be that officer?
Anybody, council can delegate others as designated officer, but then it's just listed what
Okay.
they're designated as, right? So, but typically it's the CAO in a
Mhm.
small municipality.
She's gonna get yelled at anyway.
Usually the bad call.
Okay.
And the other thing, this was more of a question. So under violation tags, where it says bylaw violation tag shall be in a form approved by the chief administrative officer and shall state right here. So I just,
Violation
the
tags.
question, oh no, sorry, where my comment was, so we have the village is not required to tender. So we have a lot of language using the village. And then we have some using the CAO. I guess what my question is the intent then that the CAO approves the form of the tag and then also what the fine might be. Is that what we're?
Well,
So the difference might be in the if you don't mind, it might be in the definitions. You see violation tag is issued by the municipal government, violation ticket is by the Provincial Offenses Procedure Act. And that now CAO, we could change all the CAOs for designated officer.
Mhm.
And that would parallel all of that. The village is, I think it says up here, means the village of standard, not from that definition, it's in but the village means municipal corporation and village of standard. And then,
We don't even have the CAO as a definition.
no, yeah, I looked at that.
Yeah.
That comment, okay. And then, what was your next one about the fees?
the fines. Yeah.
That's on in the schedule, right?
Yeah.
Appendix 1. And then there's tags and then there's tickets. And the difference is the tags we can issue, being municipal, the tickets would be issued by the bylaw officer.
And this is something that we're really looking at is to start enforcing our bylaws. And if it means we issue a tag, we do it, right? And we have, under the Municipal Government Act, we have the authority to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then the tags, my thought was that they should be, like, we're only 400 person town, is that they should be issued by council. Like, we should approve them. Is my thought.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
well,
Because then it carries the weight of council, right? It's not just one role that's gonna bear the brunt of the upset counterparty.
I think the one reason why, like, that one kind of just causes caution is because it kind of almost goes to where council now is going away from administration into governance. And going from governance to administration,
Yeah.
and we don't administer. We are strictly governance.
See, that's why we approve this. So yeah, if they want to come and talk to, like,
they
so
can appeal to
they could
council.
appeal
Yeah.
to council,
Okay,
which
that's
they
what
can
I was
always
looking
come to
for.
us, right?
Yeah.
But this actually falls under her scope of her job. CAO's job, it's not our job. We make these and we approve the policies. They carry out the policies.
Let's go to the appeal.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
So once that's all done, they can appeal to
Yeah.
council and then you guys review it and you can, like it says, vary, substitute or cancel the order.
Yeah.
But now a lot of these things will still fall in like all our policies, right? So our
Mhm.
policies will enforce how you guys are going to deal with this too, right?
Yeah,
So
well,
that's
for
why our
sure.
policies
That's why
need to
we have
be,
the policy.
Gives us direction.
give you direction.
Mhm.
Gives us direction, gives you direction, and it doesn't, make you biased, right? This is our procedure. This is how we do it.
So do we want to do,
We can do the changes and bring it back.
well, I think we have to because we can't
Yeah.
do second, third
Yeah,
reading.
nope.
Yeah,
So
we'll have
we'll
changes.
make the changes and bring it back.
Okay,
We catch Mike on that CAO thing
Yeah.
versus.
Yeah, I
the
read that, you know, I
officer.
never even,
Oh, in the, are we gonna do the next one? The next bylaw, the litter?
The litter, yeah.
Yeah.
we're on that. Rich?
No, we took it off because we thought it was gonna be a long meeting.
Oh, okay.
I didn't put it into the
Okay.
package.
Oh,
So you wanna
Okay, well, there's just there's a
Oh.
word that says a peace officer has reasonable and probably grounds. It needs to be probable.
Okay.
What page is that or section?
Page 3, 4A.
Thanks.
Spell check. would
I
be
did
good.
get like 1,000 words right. That's what you know.
we're gonna focus on the one though.
You only look at
I
me.
appreciate that changes.
So policies, so moving on to C then, if we don't have that here.
Yes.
So policies tabled from February 14th.
Yeah.
We need to make a motion to move to adopt and the same presented policies.
So now the reason why this one was tabled, Mike wanted a chance
Yeah.
to review it. There was also, I was. Yeah, you got that piece of paper we're gonna need?
Yes, right here.
I was developing a policy for benefits for the staff, and in there, I was doing 10 sick days a year. And then I was looking at 5 personal days, which could be booked in advance. And those are to go to doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, whatever, because those happen Monday through Friday in the hours that we're usually working. Council didn't agree with that. So I came back with a for and against section. I just want the current policy allows for an employee to accumulate up to 70 days sick days. That's the current policy. Why? I don't know, because if a person is sick more than 7 on the 8th day, the short-term, long-term disability kicks in.
So there's
As
no
where this is
reason-
only for full-time employees. Part-time employees, you're sick on your day off, you're sick on your day off. You need to make a doctor's appointment, you do it on your days off. There's, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
This is just for, so I'm not sure why that's 70 days. But yeah, I would be at 70 days right now. Brian would be at 70 days right now
That
too.
needs to come out of there.
It does. I don't agree with it.
No.
So that's why I thought 10 days, sick days a year, and it's not rollover, it's usable,
Done. Yeah.
gone. And the 5 days, which allows you, half days you can take for dentist appointments, chiropractors.
Go ahead.
I did look into that on personal days and how
Okay.
they're defined, and employers, usually the average is between 1 and 5 days.
Yeah.
And so the thing is when they were looking at that, and it's interesting, for example, for example, the way my contract is, it's not parallel to this because I can use a sick date for a doctor's appointment.
Mhm.
Whereas the way we kind of stated a sick day in our contract with our employees is they have to be ill. Whereas if they want to go to the doctor, that's a personal day.
Mhm.
So on that one, I'm like, I don't see it.
I've always had to take every job I've ever had. If I was going to the doctor, I had to take a sick day to do it.
Yeah. And so
Never had a personal day. Personal days are for management.
But aren't these ideas around like salary, full-time staff, not
No.
hourly?
No, hourly, salary, yeah, you have to understand EI standards. And it doesn't matter if you're salary or not, you still cannot work over 44 hours a
Mhm.
week.
Mhm.
Period.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So the same,
No, true.
well,
I'm just kidding.
some people enforce it, but it's like, yeah, you're not supposed to, even if you're a salary. anyway, we were just, I mean, it's just a benefit to the employee. It doesn't say he's gonna use them, but if he needs to take doctor's appointments or go to the chiropractor, or like my back is out, I need to go, I can up to a maximum of 5 personal, total of 5 days.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
from where we are, by the time I go to Strathmore and do my appointment and come back, it's 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
We're not in Strathmore. I can't just run at lunchtime and go and do my appointments.
Yeah.
So it's just a benefit to your full-time employees.
And on that regard, when taking a look at it, I would support having 5 sick days. I mean, 5 personal. Well, it's one of those things. Do we define a sick day then as a day that can be used for a doctor's visit? Or do we keep the definitions that we have and allow for 5 personal days? That's, I guess,
What's the
That's open
minimum?
to discussion.
Because we're
Just hold
all,
on, Mike. Sorry.
So I would be in favor of just the 10 sick days and the 5 personal days. And the onus is on you to use them, because the way, now again, for the way we work at my company is we don't have to disclose what it's for. If we choose to say it's a personal day, it's a personal day. We do not have to disclose what it is. Could be for counseling, personal reasons, whatever.
Mhm.
But the discretion, the onus is also on the employee. You have to be, not abusing it and everything else. If you're seen as abusing it, that becomes then a oversight and a management aspect. They get involved into it. But if your back hurts, you know what, my back hurts, going to take a personal day. I haven't got a personal day. Okay, I'm going to use a sick day. You have this many days a year, whether it's choose as a sick day or a personal day, doesn't matter. You're getting time to mend, time to heal better, whichever. Personally, for the way our company looks at it, we don't care. This is what it's using for the well-being of the employee. Whatever we choose to record it as is fine. You have this many allotment, how it gets used, it does. If you're abusing it, we address it.
I just thought it would just be a cut and dry situation where I want these 10 days, you're sick.
Well-
Like you cannot get out of bed, you're sneezing, I don't want you in the office, right? Sick, as where the other ones are, I need to go see my doctor because I need to get my prescriptions filled. You know what I mean? There's those situations that arise. So then, I think employees, we're just only a couple of
Yeah.
employees, would be honest about it. Hey, I need a half day personal day.
But that's what I think. If you're sick 10 days, but then on the 11th, like over the
Yeah.
year period,
Yeah.
you have an 11th day of being sick.
Yeah.
Okay, you're sick. Just say, you know what, I don't feel I'm going to use it as a personal day. Where you would say, okay, I'm going to use a personal day. Okay, what are
That's
you
where
doing?
You were I'm defining sick days and personal days. Personal days are for attending medical appointments.
Yes.
So as
I,
we're
I think the language in there says that it needs to be cleared in advance. by the
booked in
CAO.
advance with the CAO. So yeah, so you can't
You may
just-
not have to say it's for
Yeah,
seeing my psychiatrist.
So Mike had a
yeah,
question.
that's right. But it's for a medical reason that I do not need to know about. If you have to go see a psychiatrist, that's your business. But you just say I need a half day personal day, and that's for medical reasons.
Okay, Mike.
so there'd be, you're proposing 10 sick days, 5 personal days, and is there holidays as well, or is holidays paid out? Like-
Yeah, vacation pay is paid out on part-time employees, full-time employees, depending upon how long they've been here, then that we have our days off too. So a new employee would get 2 weeks vacation.
Mhm.
Well, like for James, it'll be prorated because he started in March. So he'll have 8 point something days vacation this year instead of 10. I have 20.
Yeah, I get, what's an employment standard?
Employment standard.
Yeah, because the employment standard would be like the 5% or whatever vacation. pay,
Oh,
right?
okay, that depends upon how many years you've been here. So anywhere up to 4, 5. I can't remember what the policy is.
It's 1303-8 is
Okay.
vacation policy.
So it is,
I
I
don't.
think it was up to 5 was 4%, and then from 5 on went to 6%, and anything over,
Scroll back.
Like I'm at 8% for 4. That's it. It should be capped off at that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. In my career, like, this is just, it's heavy, because, so if you're, like, I don't, this is not, it's not personal, like 20 days plus 15 plus 5, like that's 35 days off, right? There's only 20 days in a month, that's like a month and a half.
Do you know how many 6 days I took
And you have,
last year?
and no, and you have 70, you have 70 days booked, right? So 70 days booked. If you work
No.
3.5 days a week, it would take a year to pay up your days booked in lieu.
Yeah, but vacation, like the sick days, that you don't get paid out any of that. You don't, like in
No.
the policies that we're doing now, there's no payout on anything. You quit. We just
Yeah.
Oh, so
look at
we're,
nothing.
so we're not saying you're gonna get paid for
No.
10 days.
No,
No.
no,
You
no.
get paid for
No.
10 personal days.
If I happen to be sick 10 days, which that would be
Yeah.
very uncommon.
Well, is it
Last
after
year-
8, you go to short-term disability?
Consistently.
Eight
Eight
consecutive
consecutive,
weeks. Yeah. So if there was an injury or if you're automatically hospitalized, it starts on the day you're in the hospital.
So this, what we're talking about here is if someone said, I'm, taking a personal day, are we saying that on that pay period, they're not getting paid for that day?
No, they would be for full-time employees.
Right.
Because, okay, for example, if I gotta go see my specialist twice a year, it's an all-day trip into Calgary.
Mhm.
I can't go any other time. It's just a benefit for your full-time employees. That's it.
Yeah.
So instead of giving extra sick days, I just wanted it split up. So it's like, these are days to be sick, but these are days, like, it's really hard to make your appointments, right?
Yeah.
It's just, but most of the time it wouldn't even be used. I used 0 sick days last year. 0. Didn't have any. sick
Yeah, but
days.
then you have the other person that is going to abuse it.
And that's
right?
why you have it worded and limited, right? Like 70
When you
days.
see
Oh my
any
goodness.
Yeah, I know.
Administration.
I just-
That's 70 days. That would not work over at some places right now. I could tell you.
I just don't like the PDOs. That it has never been an hourly person's deal. I know that you usually get 12 sick days a year, not 10. Usually get 1 a month.
I try not to.
Well, I do too, but
I just,
I'm just one, that's just my opinion.
do you get paid out for sick days you don't use?
No, I lose
Yeah.
it.
You just lose them. They don't roll over. They expire.
You get paid for vacation days. Vacation, you
It's interesting with the different perspectives everyone has around this in employment, because it's different.
Well, I grew up in small business, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
work, you don't get paid. Like, if you're not there banging away,
Yeah.
you're
absolutely.
not getting paid, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then, so like, in those circumstances, a lot of contractors, they'll get their 5%, their holidays, but they don't get holidays, they get 5% paid out. And that's just the standard, oftentimes a standard deal is there's no holidays, you just get paid that.
But the trouble is, so she's got stomach bug or whatever, and she comes in here because she's not gonna get paid for a sick day. So she comes in here and spreads it. So then you turn around and you know what, that's why I'm a believer of sick
Are there
days.
no sick days in the policy now?
No, there's 10.
Oh,
No, in the policy right now,
Yeah.
they can accumulate up
They
to
can,
70.
yeah,
how would you accumulate? Why
Oh,
would
so it
7
rolls
years
over
without a
from
sick
year to
day.
year. Yeah.
that part has to be taken out.
Oh, yeah, totally.
For sure.
And
So
that's
she-
why-
she has 3 sick days every
Why would they
week.
roll over? You can't actually
No.
take 70 days in a row.
It's bad policy. It's
That's
a
a
redundant
bad
policy.
It's a bad policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all.
So we have
because
to
like I
take
said,
that out.
long-term, short-term disability, that's what it's there for,
That's
and that's what we
yeah.
pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the employee pays for
Yeah.
that, right?
It's
So-
probably a policy that's been on the books so long that it's now
Nobody's even
lost
looked at
its lost its
Mhm.
use of service.
So,
Totally.
so what do you want to do?
So anyway, the 4s, we did some pros and cons. So the salary compensation is the lowest,
Our village.
in our region, like we did call out and to all of our Palliser stakeholders and say, hey, what is everybody paying? The benefits make up for that variance. Considers the time and energy it takes to travel to the health centers. It averages to 0.8 days off per month. And it was pandemically
Yeah,
minded.
not 2.8, it averages 0.8.
0.8. Oh,
a
averages.
day.
Yeah, it's averages to 0.8.
0.8
Yeah, 0.8. There we
days a
go.
month.
Thank you. Yeah. It
Okay.
did sound like 2.8.
It totally did.
0.8 is the sick days.
Yeah, the
Not,
sick
that doesn't
days.
include the 5 days of personal days, right? Because
Yeah,
that 15 divided by 12 would be greater. than
yeah.
five.
Yeah,
Just 6 days.
You
Yeah,
got it.
you're right.
it's a good thing.
Can't help it. It's just the way I'm wired.
So the
I like
comments
engineers and
that
all
we
that.
were
That's a good
hearing,
thing,
it
right?
seems to be over generous compared to other professional plans. It's not in alignment with standard practice. It's expensive.
That's a question mark. Is it
Yeah.
expensive? Because it's just 1,800 a year
Yeah.
to cover
The
the.
CAO sick days would be
The total
1,820.
Yeah.
5 personal days, 910. That's if they were used.
Yeah.
But, well, I can't say because you know my track record, right? But I mean, it's not to say for somebody else's track record, right? But
What's driving it? Because you don't use it. I
No.
think there needs to be sick days anyway.
yeah,
And then you had mentioned last meeting, did you say you had 70 days in lieu that you've worked and haven't been paid for?
no, that's just that policy.
Oh, but
Like-
you said you had a whole bunch of days.
Yeah, she does. Have a bunch of bank time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another issue.
Another different story.
Yeah, different story. So, no, right now, as it sits, I probably have, if I wanted to, I could go 70 days, sick days.
According to
And
current
according to this policy that we currently have in place.
Well,
Yeah,
But no one knew about.
well, no, it's been, I can't remember when it was done. It was,
I
I've
don't
never ever
remember it.
heard that
Yeah.
before.
It's an active policy that's been overseen.
Anyway,
well, anyway, so what's driving it is, just a benefit to attract people to work here, because benefits do attract people. Sometimes it's not so much the salary per hour, but what they're going to get back in return. Because some benefits, like if somebody had a Blue Cross benefit, that's a huge benefit for a family, right? You got dental, you got your prescriptions are covered, and you know what I mean? So sometimes that benefit sort of offsets the low income that we want to pay everybody. Right. Because as Martin said, we are on the low end of the scale for paying for CAO and Public Works.
Yeah.
I think Azora pays $28 an hour for the Public Works.
Yeah, but he's only like 3 days a week or something.
So
Is he 4?
He's for 28 hours a week, I think.
Yeah, so he doesn't make up a little bit. That's why he's higher, but it's probably basically the same,
I have it in the sheets.
2 to 28, but 4 days a week, right?
yeah,
Anyway, so
it's
that's-
the same amount of money in 4 days, basically.
Pretty much.
Kind of
Pretty close, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Can we even ask, like, I guess the one thought I had, like, if you were in that position where if someone was in a position where they had to run to go someplace, we can't even really ask them why.
No.
Like, so
No.
I guess from my perspective, like calling it a sick day or a PDO or whatever, personal day, like that's.
Personal day has to be booked in advance. So you know they're going to.
Oh, I
an
see what you're
appointment.
saying. I
A
see.
sick day
Okay,
is
yeah.
where I phone and I say, Jen, I'm sick. I'm throwing up all night long.
And Jen says, please don't come.
Yeah.
I'll cover for you.
But
So
see,
the only
Yeah.
difference is then you're gonna use
You know in
you have to
advance.
book a personal day.
Yeah, book a personal day. I know I gotta go to the doctor's appointment on such and such a day. You say, give a note, whatever. It goes in your file. Yeah, it's not a sick day. It's a personal day so that people, I don't want people using sick days to go to a doctor's appointment, right? It's,
I do. You're asking someone that's never looked at his contract on that.
Okay.
I think I have 2 a month,
Two,
and then I have to pay for my
it's
own.
24 a year.
Well, 20, because he only
Oh,
works 10 months a
20.
year.
Okay.
10, they get a month off at Christmas.
Okay, so it's down to nothing.
3 weeks of Easter.
Can you kick me from there?
Anyway, enough cheap shot.
It's okay.
So what do you
I've
wanna
heard
do?
it many years. It's okay. It's
So
okay.
what, no, if there was no
You do, I will-
discussion,
I would have you.
I made sure that council was aware, because this is a
Yeah.
benefit that council provides for its employees. So this is why
Well,
I
I
made
think we
you
need to-
aware.
Change that and take the 70 days out.
Well, no, if you approve this policy, then it will remove,
It'll remove the 70.
it will remove the,
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move along. Does somebody want to make a
Okay.
motion or approve this or what?
The first page of the stack, I think, has
Okay.
that.
so, the policies you got today are the ones you're taking home for next meeting.
Okay.
So the,
Oh, shoot. What's in this stack right there?
The bylaw.
those are the ones yeah, that policy is for next meeting.
Is this the list that we're doing
This one.
tonight?
So let me just put that there.
No, this one here. That one.
For
1307. Here. Here.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's not the way. Shame on me. Okay, I don't have it to view.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, okay.
Unless it's in.
So it was benefits, it was occupational health and safety, the work alone policy, personal protective equipment, and safety orientation record.
Does somebody want to move to adopt and rescind presented policies?
I'll make a motion to adopt and rescind.
All in favor?
This is like,
not these ones.
It's not these ones. These ones come back next month.
That one you take home.
This was last meeting's package.
I don't have it.
It would have been,
Would have been last, you would have had it last.
Would have had the last one.
oh, the one we're just doing now? Yeah, you would have
It
received
was,
it
it
the last
was given
meeting.
to the last meeting. We're always a month behind on them, basically.
I give
When
it
we
to you
make
at
the
this
motion to
meeting
rescind.
for you to look at for the next
For
month
next
and then
month.
bring it back. So for any conversations, or if you have comments that,
That's when we do it.
yeah, you can actually send us an email if you
Yep.
have like typos or something. You can send that to us ahead of time. We can fix it. So then it's just typos.
Do we also have access into our drive?
Yes.
Well, I was looking for it and I don't see the package.
It was in last month's package. So if we go into last month's meeting.
It was last one. So that's February 14th.
Oh. Oh, no, because it doesn't come into the,
It doesn't come into the drive at all.
not yet, no.
Could we
no,
maybe have a
yes, we'll put-
folder?
The folder
Yeah.
and
But is it on the
I think
counselor
so.
drive? Like I might be on your administration drive, but I've
so
noticed that the counselor drive doesn't look the same as what you have on your drive.
my apologies. I went into the counselor drive
Oh, okay.
and the package wasn't in the draft ones, which is why I was in
Okay,
a meeting package and it wasn't there either. And I think it was an oversight because of the way that they're labeled in the thing.
Yeah, it should have went, yeah.
okay.
Okay, that's
We have a
fine.
We'll
motion
get
on-
it in there.
We have a
So-
motion on the floor.
And
All in favor? Opposed? One opposed. It was the motion to rescind
yeah,
last month's.
Richard said to move to adopt and rescind the presented policy.
Yes, okay.
Policy tax arrears agreements.
So currently, the way it works is if somebody goes on the tax arrears list, they have a year to pay. So from March 31st to the next year, they have a year to come up with the money if they get on the list. If at that time they don't get on the list, what's happened in the past is they've gone, either they go up for auction or we go into an agreement with them. I would like council's direction on their thoughts on that agreement, because in the Municipal Government Act, it says council may, that's the word,
Mhm.
may go into an agreement with someone who's on the tax arrears list. You have to be on the list. So now, I would like to actually have a policy because I don't think I'm the babysitter of these people to make sure that they pay. I'm sorry. But, I would like to draft a policy if council's in agreement that if they don't pay by the year is up on the March 31st, that the property goes up for auction.
Mhm.
And there is no agreement.
So,
This way, it's not biased and it doesn't come to council, whether or not we
Can't
go to
be.
auction is just done.
straight across the board for everybody.
And this way, I'm hoping maybe that the tax service would then just be able to proceed without having to go
Well,
into any agreements.
And that's what I was just wondering is if that policy should not have something stating that about tax services in it.
Well, that's, the whole policy will be the whole tax
Okay.
recovery process, right?
Okay.
Do we not, do we want though, like, it's not about babysitting, but under extenuating circumstances, like, I don't know, like, say you had like a young family lose their parents and some kids like 19. Like, I can imagine a circumstance where you'd be like, okay, we don't really want to sell these people's house.
Well,
I can imagine circumstances where like, really hope it sells soon. Like, I can imagine both.
the problem is, you know, they've made an agreement and they're not fulfilling it. So
Oh, this is
MG,
after.
this
the-
is after, they've now signed an
Oh,
agreement.
this is after the.
This is
agreement.
after the
Okay.
agreement, sorry.
So,
So, no, so now, that's the problem though, is you go into an agreement and if they miss one payment, you're supposed to
yes,
start the process of auction over again. So, you know, it was Christmas time, nobody made payments. It was like, seriously, come on, people, this is the roof over your head.
Yeah.
Right? Next month, no payments again. It's like,
no. Can't be that way.
so I'm really struck. I'm like you say,
Yeah.
you know, when it was COVID, we actually decreased the penalty rate. So we went 3% on current because yeah, maybe people are having a hard time this year, but maybe next year, if they're still in arrears, well, now they're going to pay the penalty at 9%, right? So council has relaxed on that quite a bit, whereas, you know, this year's current taxes is 3%. Arrears are 9%. Right.
Oh, I see.
So-
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're saying after they've signed this agreement,
Now they've defaulted and defaulted and defaulted.
Just, yeah,
so you wanted like a policy that states an end date.
Yeah.
For this.
There's no, like, there would be no agreement. The policy would be that the service goes to tax service. From there, if they do not pay by such and such a date, the property goes up for auction.
Yvette, can I
Yeah.
role play it a little bit? So
Yeah.
let's say you tax by July 1st.
August 1st.
August 1st, by July.
Yeah.
And let's say someone misses it, right? They're good to miss it because they go on to tax arrears.
Well,
right?
then there's the next penalty is December 1st.
Right. The next penalty is the year end comes, and then they're put on the arrears list, right? And normally you would put them, if they're on arrears, for how long before they get an agreement?
2 years. So
So-
right now, we're dealing with 2022 taxes, 2021 taxes, and now it's, well, 2023, right? So
And is that's the MGA lets them have that time, that year, or are you saying that?
that's according to the MGA.
Right.
Once you go on the arrears list, if you're 2 years in arrears, we must put you on the tax arrears list.
Right.
So anybody that had 2022 taxes owing went on the list. So they owed for 2022, 2023. Now they have a year to pay.
So in the scenario of someone who's on hard times, they basically have 2 years to get back on their feet before they're on the arrears list, right?
Yes.
Because it's the third year where they get put on.
well, they only have to
Yeah.
pay the first year.
They only had to clear up the 2022 taxes, the ones that were
Take
going to
themselves
be
off
in this.
arrears.
Yeah,
So you could always be a year in
a
arrears,
year behind.
you're behind.
So then once on arrears, you want a policy that says you're now on arrears, your house is up for auction. You want to skip the agreements.
If you don't pay by March
Oh, give them a
31st the
deadline.
following year.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is-
that's a government deadline.
That's a government deadline. March 31st, it goes on the arrears list. It's at March 31st a year later. If they don't pay, you can put them off. the
Think just
auction.
do up a policy and bring it back.
Okay. All right.
Like how many people, how often, how many people, like there was a tax arrears in our budget, right? It wasn't a small number.
No,
Tax arrears,
Yeah, didn't you have it? You had, there was a
100,000.
table you had here.
70,000. Yeah. It's
It was on the
70,000.
17,000.
Nope, 70. Should be 70,000, is it?
I don't know. I'm not seeing.
yeah, I think so. That's what you said earlier was 70.
Sorry, I'm gonna make this big, taxes owing. right
Taxes owing, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, 70,000 bucks.
there. Mhm.
That was really.
There's our budget.
There's our budget. That's most of our shortfall.
Yeah.
If people pay their budget on time.
Yeah.
And you'll see this go in a
Yeah.
cycle.
You know what I mean?
You'll see this happen as a cycle.
So
They don't-
people are in this cycle, they stay in this cycle.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they will scramble
70
because they've got to find,
70,000, how many people are we talking about? Based on my taxes or Larry's taxes? It's a lot less people if it's
Wow.
Larry's taxes.
I'm the only guy taxed that much.
70 grand, 2
varies.
years, 4 grand to place.
it varies.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring the policy back. Do it back, Bring it back. We'll look at it. On to E,
That's
auction.
Yeah.
Move
So-
to set auctions for property at lot 6, block 3, plan such and such on June 6, 2024.
Here's a good example. Ghosting.
Do we have
ghosting.
a map?
Yeah,
If we're not
We've-
supposed to say this name.
yeah, no, you're not supposed to, but you can go onto our webpage and you just plunk in that number and you'll see where it is.
Can I just step out in the hallway and look somewhere?
I don't think it'll show you there. No,
No,
it'll show you.
no,
I'll show you how
It
much.
has to be on the.
Anyway, so we need council needs to set an auction date. We've picked June the 6th. So we have to do advertising, we have to.
You don't do that anymore.
I was gonna say, will that not go through?
Is
the-
that not tax service, does it?
No, because this is not one, this was already an agreement
Oh.
we had in place
Okay.
that they've defaulted.
Oh,
now.
so this can't go through tax service?
No.
Okay,
No.
Because this is pre-existing.
yeah, I'm gonna have to go home and look this up. I will move to set auction for property at lot 6, block 3, plan 8210168 on June 6, 2024.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried.
So quick question, sorry, I'm asking
It's
lots of
okay.
questions though.
No,
You can
that's all
just
right.
tell me next meeting.
That's okay, no,
Does it mean when you said this one can't go through the
tax
process
service, no.
where the admin doesn't do it
Mhm,
because it was an agreement?
right,
So if we enter into an agreement with anyone, does that mean it can't go through? tax
No,
service?
this was entered into agreement prior than this date.
Prior to
This date
hired.
forward goes to the tax service. This date prior, because this was entered prior, this has to be dealt with this way.
yeah.
But anything
We are-
after this date,
The
date,
day we hired tax services. to do
Yeah.
this.
Anything
April of
after that?
last year, I went into two different agreements.
Okay,
And this property continually defaults, so
No more
I
chasing.
said no more.
okay,
So that's why I've given them the deadline to do something by yesterday and they didn't, so.
so when the auction happens, so
Well, good.
No, that's okay.
can the owner of the current property being auctioned bid on it?
No, they wouldn't bid on it. They could come and pay up to the 5 minutes before the auction.
Which has happened.
Yeah.
So you spend all that money.
Yeah,
They
That's
would-
why we hired this tax.
At that
service.
point, they would either have to come in with cash, which that has
For the
happened,
full amount?
for the full amount, or a certified check.
For the
that's the only-
full, for
for
the
the
full
full
amount.
amount.
No, for the full amount or the full 1 year?
Full amount
Oh,
only.
okay, there's where it is.
There's a
Full
full
amount. At that point, it's the whole amount.
and I see what you're thinking is they can't come bid on the property and basically
No.
null and void the amount owing and get the
Yeah.
property
Well,
for
they're-
$1,000.
No,
No, you wouldn't get it for.
No, but that's what I
$1,000.
mean, that's what I mean,
You're
though.
gonna, the minimum bid is going to be what is owed to the village.
Yes,
no. Village
No?
cannot, we have to sell it at the value of the property.
I thought it was the minimum of what.
Okay.
No, we have to sell, there's a value to the property and we cannot sell it lower than that.
Where did I
So-
sound in my head at?
So it will be advertised where?
In the Alberta Gazette, in the newspaper. So, just an example, when they did the Quonset over here, they sold, the Quonset became the property of the village.
Mhm.
For arrears owing to the village. And all that money that came from the arrears part of the portion that the village got paid had to sit in an account for 10 years.
Yeah,
Because somebody could come back and claim that money, but
yeah, I remember
the
that.
gentleman had passed away and nobody knew it. But what had ended up happening is he owed money to the people that he sold the building or bought the building from, so they had to go to court
Oh, boy.
to release the funds, and
Mhm.
eventually it did happen.
Yeah.
The court did release it to them because they had document that said
Yeah.
that he owed them money. And, and then it gets released, but 10 years that we have to sit with it.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
if it becomes our property,
We're gonna move along
we're
here.
gonna sell it.
So 2024 budget.
Well,
Any more
there's any
discussion?
more discussion for it.
No, I mean, we can take this information we have and go home and look at it. right?
Yeah.
Fine tune it some more.
Yeah, I think we.
We'll
gotta
do some
try-
adjustments with the fire, reduce that back down to 17. Um,
Okay,
Other questions on that, like if we were gonna try to peel, because in this budget right now, we have. In this version, I'm not, this isn't the latest, thing, this is the one I have.
Yep.
It's showing WRC residential water,
mhm,
actual revenue from 190 to 246, so that's going up by 29%.
mhm.
This load out water, 8,500 to 17,000, so that's like 100%.
Yeah, loadout is just in and out, right? So it should be on the revenue side. Because we
Yeah,
bring in,
this is the
yeah,
revenue side.
yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're just looking at revenue. So if I look at the residential water, so in my head, am I seeing that this means that what residents pay for water goes up by 29%?
25 cents.
No,
If
Yeah.
we made a motion last year that at January this year, the rate would be up by 25 cents
0.25 cents.
Yeah.
Okay,
per cube.
per meter cube. Okay, so then in this budget document,
See,
2024
yeah.
planned revenue goes to 246 from 190.
based on last year's numbers,
So,
unfortunately.
yeah, that number's been updated to 40, he's looking at the
Oh,
revenue.
sorry.
46.
Okay, yeah.
It's 2,199.99. Right? Is that, am I looking at the right thing? Where that one?
You're looking at, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because the number you have, Mike, was one that we calculated. And then, today, after we had some actuals come in, then we recalculated and put in the difference of what, because sometimes we get lost water cubes and stuff like that. So we don't actually get the full amount that's, the actual cubes that are sent out aren't always filled back.
right,
So
right.
that's the new number there represents that.
Okay, and then the next question, so then on the sewer revenue,
Oh, that's the big difference.
Yeah.
242. 242. Yeah, right here.
yeah. So did it change?
The revenue.
So 50, is it 50, it's 58,200
Yeah.
that went up from 43?
Because it would increase last year,
Mhm.
the sewer, so it's all 25. The sewer was increased last year to 25. So we had less because it was halfway through the year. So now
Yeah.
when we do stuff, we do it January 1st.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then it doesn't make this.
so
budget
people
look-
are already paying this?
Right, yeah, for the water, yeah, it started
Mhm.
January 1st.
And are people already paying the garbage and the sewer
Yeah,
as well?
yeah, all these numbers will be more confirmed numbers because they will eventually get it back somehow or another.
Okay, so these numbers are not implying an increase from
No.
today's pricing? These
No,
are-
No,
that's
Okay.
already happened.
They're already paying?
There should have been a slip that came with the water, that WRC bill in January or in December. That was-
Yeah.
No, that's good.
So lastly, to talk about budget, you guys had just,
Is that a question?
Oh, just a question from our little budget
okay,
work
yeah,
sheets that we had here. Okay. I was looking at it and I'm just gotta make sure I'm reading it right. Because there was the number of 89,736 that was reported on it.
Yep.
As saying a shortfall.
Yep.
Okay, assuming that that stays in the budget, does that mean that these tax rates over here on the budget worksheet would then compensate for that shortfall? Or meaning that these tax rates as they are currently right there still have a shortfall of that?
no, so the less that number becomes, the less this side, the percentage comes, and it brings it down
Okay.
to,
So that's,
So my question is if this stays and this budget is as is and it's set,
yes.
these
those
numbers set and it's balanced.
Yes. So what you would be doing is you would be moving 89,736 into operating.
Yeah.
From
That makes
one of
sense
your
to me now,
90-day
yeah.
demand.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you know, if you have to do it that way, right, to get a balanced budget, but we try to get as close as we can without, but we still have some work to do because I think this number was, you know, if you see a 3% increase, like I think I can live with that. But as you can see though, all the assessments are up. So you're going to see that overall.
so if we bring that 89,000 down, that brings our percent down.
That's right.
So I'm just, I was.
Where's this, sorry,
Go ahead.
did I hear, sorry, Adam, did I hear that this 89,736 is coming out of,
Well, it could come out of operating, like you're operating from your 90-day unrestricted reserves, right?
right, but that, I don't know, in my mind, that 90-day operating, like some, the 193 that's there, that's not restricted, that was from the sale of the water plant, right?
No, the
No.
60.
The
The
6,
193 is not restricted. That's money that we never,
I put in the bank and I never took it back out.
Mhm.
When we spent it on the tractor, or we spent it on this, we just always left it there because it had a nice high interest.
Mhm.
You got it.
so I would be more in favor of taking the $60,000 that we sold the water plant for and putting it into our revenues, because that water plant was already paid for by our ratepayers, right? So if we were to take that 60,000 out of that fund and put it into our revenues, that would put us $30,000 difference, which would bring these numbers on the rate down. I know we put all that money away to keep it for a rainy day, but the price of gas bill, our gas bill was $400 for our electric bill. And that's gonna be going up, so I wouldn't be against using that 60,000 to bring our budget down
If we can't,
closer,
yeah, if we
Mhm.
can't,
because that 60,000, I'm sorry, that's money already been paid for by
Repairs.
the ratepayers.
that's a good point.
Go ahead.
Okay, for that unrestricted, unallocated reserve of 190,000. How many years has it taken the village to accumulate that that portion of money?
So just so
Meaning
you
it's-
know,
yeah.
like you can accumulate in those 90-day demands.
No, I mean, like budget surpluses of like money that you put into the bank that you haven't pulled out.
Yeah,
Like that 190,000, I'm just looking at it just to verify what I'm thinking in my head. That's not just a 1-year surplus that happened in our
No.
budget. This is over multiple years that that's built up.
I'm gonna say since probably about 2014,
Yeah,
About 10 years.
2015.
10 years.
so 10 years.
So, but you do also, 20, 30, not that one. 20. Where are you? Just in interest last year in those 90-day demands, you made $30,000.
How much?
30,000. It's making a good interest. That's why I don't work the
Well,
money
I don't
out.
wanna,
But I
I
mean,
mean, you look at what we spent on that sewer last years.
So what happens now is we don't, when you'll see, when I physically move money there, no, it just, it doesn't really go anywhere. It just, the money then,
Just
the other
grows.
number goes more to restricted and the unreserved gets less, right?
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Well, do some more, we'll look, but if we might, like I say, if we gotta take that 60 out to make it better, then I think that's the week we
it's an
should.
option, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Any more questions on budget, or can we move on here? Okay.
well, last thing we were talking about is we've never liked my bank time. Shelley's still working Mondays. I think I'll just keep taking Mondays off only in lieu of, and I should be done by August.
Okay. No, that's,
Removal of all bank time?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, that's.
so we just keep doing it that way because there's no way you can,
Well,
no, it was just something that happened and I never argued over it, so.
so well, you're talking about bank time, do we want to get into bank time for public works, or do we want to pay on his hour and a half over?
I think time should be in lieu of, but I also think in my mind, if he gets called out to a call, that it should be time and a half
Yeah.
outside of work hours.
Yeah.
So then he would get an hour and a half off, an hour here that he worked, he would get an hour and a half
Well, why
off
don't we just
somewhere
pay him?
else. Because you can't make a budget that way. That's what happened before. And all of a sudden it was like,
Well, I think our agreement back was an hour for an hour and a half, so hour off for an hour and a half.
I think it's still, you can still do bank time though.
No, that's what I'm saying, but I think it was 1 for 1.5.
No, it was 1 for 1. That was the last contract had Brian signed, was 1 for
Oh,
1.
okay.
I think if it's fair, like if it's a call out, it's
Well, to be
I think
honest
it's
with
time
you,
and a
call
half.
out after hours
supposed to be
is
3 hours
supposed to
at
be 3
minimum,
hours.
minimum wage.
Four.
Yeah,
No, it's
3.
Three?
Okay, no, that was just a question. All right, let's move along
Okay.
to solar.
Okay, so just as an update, we got all the information we needed from the library, the curling arena and the ice rink. And so adding them to the plan would be, so the original plan for just the village buildings, just to remind you, was 125,709. Would be the price of putting it in, and it would take 5 years, 5.4 years to pay off, considering the credit value. And then adding those 3 is $107,811 to put the system in. And
That's over on the top of the 125?
yeah,
Okay.
In addition to.
yeah. And now he made a separate proposal. He's working on making one joint proposal because what stymied him a little bit here was planning how to put the panels. We suggested putting everything on top of the rink, and he's not sure it will accommodate everything. There's a little more research that needs to happen. So that's just where we are. It's just numbers. It's this. He was very clear to say, remember, this is just the plan, but it's very close to the ballpark. And so,
I still think it's a no-brainer.
something else to think about. I did steer them towards the old dump site, possibly for putting up solar panels because it's land that is not usable for us. Or actually even over on the other side of the water plant, we own, I think it's 3 acres over there too.
So is
But
there,
I'm thinking for Memory Lane and their design down there that the solar panels on the lower fields would not be
yeah, well, I'll look into that.
in line of their vision.
there'll be a more concrete
Yeah.
proposal with some options.
So is
in the
the
coming meeting.
government of Alberta giving money again?
We,
It's not clear yet. I think there was something that the grant you told me to look into was, wouldn't accommodate it. I can't remember why. My notes in the other room.
Okay,
we did say it would work. for
Daniel
what's
Smith
going on.
announced
Yeah.
they're not funding any more solar or any more wind because the grid can't really accommodate it at the moment,
well,
I guess it's.
at this moment in time.
yeah, well, I know what the arena alone, what it used to be, what they paid or what we paid a month. I can't imagine what it is now.
Yeah.
So to me, this is gonna be a no-brainer. I mean, yeah, it's gonna take us 7 years to pay it off, but then we're net zero.
Like, weren't their bills like 18,000 a
They
month?
used to be 16. And that was years ago.
Yeah, but they would change the lights out, so that made a big, huge difference.
Well, the biggest
I
part
think
of
it
the
was still like
problem is the
18.
startup. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so we'll wait for more information. Counselors' concerns. Richard,
No, sir.
Mike doesn't rate yet on here.
Yeah, you gotta put Mike on the list.
Adam,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. It makes me so side.
Larry,
No.
Mike,
No, not that. I can think
me
of.
neither.
Okay.
All right,
There was just one complaint that I got from a resident that was saying that the streets were icy and that on one day that it was slippery. But it was also, I kind of explained to the resident that, yeah, they were icy because it had just been that snow, but if we would have went into the afternoon, everything melted, so it's not
well,
like,
you can't go and put sand on it when it's gonna melt. And it just makes them, like, I mean, when
Yeah.
you know it snowed and it's gonna warm up, you don't sand it.
yeah.
You
So
let it melt, right?
I don't think, it wasn't a concern to bring you back to the office just to say that there was a complaint, but
Yeah.
we had a good talk.
All right,
Legal.
yes.
Okay.
So I
You need
will
that
move,
motion.
yeah, I will move to go into closed session under point division 2, exceptions to disclosure as 27. Privileged information, can we shut off? recording?
9:41. Oh, 8:40.
9:41.
9:41.
Yep.
Does it need to carry, right?
20
Yeah.
Just looking at that clock.
There.
All right, we'll come out of camera. Somebody want to move to
Those will
adjourn?
be gone, 'cause we haven't even received.
Okay.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
At whatever time it is.
9:48.
Okay, so I do need 3 counselors. 1, 2. Richard.
Yeah.
MPC meeting, quick meeting to review a subdivision application. And that's it. And we will stay live because it is a meeting of council.
Okay.
So it's a meeting. Oop.
Wow. I like my
Somebody
video
else can
screen.
take-
The laptop screen is much
We've got 10 minutes
than
before we
this
hit
one.
that 4 hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll be
Oh,
done.
we'll be done. It's just they just have to review it.
So I would call the MPC meeting to order.
Yeah.
This is all for me.
Oh, thank you. Oh, this is for you.
Oh, yeah, either.
This is for me.
Okay, so we have a subdivision application.
Mhm.
If you look at the very last page, this is a diagram. There's a very skinny little lot back there. That Kapanucks owned, and they approached the landowners off of First Street to see if they would like to purchase them. So what they're doing is they're subdividing that small little lot in half.
Which little
Okay.
lot? Sorry.
210.
210, okay, so it's in the back of the red and the back of the tail.
Okay, in between there.
Yeah. All this here.
Okay,
So now this owner is gonna take this part and this owner is gonna take this part.
okay.
Let's see, Mike.
Yeah, we'll see.
The only way this lot could have been sold otherwise is a whole lot this way.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
too narrow.
Yeah, and they tried, you could have subdivided, but you can't
Okay.
subdivide a lot without access to water or sewer, which would never happen in this alley.
Okay,
So the only thing you have to do is say that you reviewed it. There's nothing to approve. It's your municipal planning commission. They just want you to see that this subdivision report was done. It then goes back to Palliser. Palliser will
That's
do
just-
the final, right here, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
There you go.
yeah, I'm good with it.
I've always thought of that as an
Behind the
interesting
church.
sort of skinny little
Totally.
spot of land.
There's the church.
But it's
So-
interesting, I always thought it was part of this lot right here.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
no.
Oh, oh shit, that's,
This is.
This is
James
what we are
Bond's
right here.
house.
James and Ted Allen.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is the Ted with the guy with all the race cars.
Interesting, okay.
What do you
So-
want the motion to read?
Just that, council's reviewed the subdivision application.
And you approve it? You want-
Well,
is that what
not
you're looking for?
approved, that council reviewed the
Reviewed it.
We
subdivision.
reviewed it.
We don't even need a motion for that.
Well,
Yeah,
We're
Yeah.
not doing anything. We just reviewed it. We just,
there's gotta be something that directs something on paper though.
what?
What happens after it's reviewed?
Goes back to Palliser.
So
So-
can we have a move that council, having reviewed the
And
application,
acknowledge.
agrees to send it or approves to send it to Palliser? or-
Yes, something to that
Yeah.
effect. Okay,
We're
yeah,
getting
because there's gotta be
all-
something on paper, right?
I
The
think
other thing that I do also need is us to approve our minutes of October 12th. So if everybody wants to have, huh?
yeah.
No, this
This
is.
is
this
a,
is
Oh,
NPC meeting.
it's an MPC meeting.
So
Uh,
just sign that one, but it was to do with, here, do you want to just?
Okay, I move that we accept the meeting minutes for a Thursday, October 12th, 2023. And the NPC meeting minutes of October 2023.
All in favor? So.
And then that's it.
Did we need to make a motion on this though?
I didn't carry. Move that after having reviewed the subdivision file number 57-007, to return the application to Palliser approved.
Yes.
Or- Yeah.
Palliser, yeah,
Palliser.
Palliser Regional Municipal Services.
Yes.
Yeah, good enough. It's just a direction, right?
All
So
in favor?
you reviewed it, send it back.
Somebody want to move to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
So how do you find out whose lot is for?
Oh, is our meeting now?
Yes. Thank you very much for everybody for attending. We're adjourned.
Down to two.
How do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know?